the unknown, down the rabbit hole, where it stops no one knows. We're going
Well, hello, everybody. Happy Friday night.
Yes,
Happy Friday night.
Happy Friday night. I'm so excited, you guys, that Sunny and Aspen said yes to coming on the show. And then we had scheduled it, and then I wasn't able to go live. And so I'm so happy that you guys are here.
Thank you. Love it. You were on with us, and I was looking forward to tonight and just chilling.
I know.
Yeah.
So I figure it's going to be kind of chill, you guys. It's like whatever we want to talk about, whatever we want to do, whatever comes up, and just hang out and just kind of just chillax from all the true crime bullshit.
Yeah.
Right. I have to admit, it's nice. It's nice to be like a guest, because like I don't even have chat open, so I'm not gonna make fun of me all you want. I'm not gonna see it unless Teresa pulls it up on screen.
Oh, if they make fun of you, I'm going to pull it up on screen.
Please do. My family would appreciate it.
Aw, they won't make fun of you. Everybody loves Aspen. So hi, everybody. I don't know how you guys are doing on this Friday night. Thank you guys for being here. And Tom was giving us crap because we were late, and then they blamed Aspen, and they said Aspen's always late. And then they said, nope, it's Sunny's fault. Sunny's late. And then, ironically, nobody blamed me. It was my fault that we were late because I was the one chit-chatting.
Oh, y'all were. But Aspen, of course, was the last one to show up, as always.
I was 1 minute early.
He was. Wow. In fairness, he was 1 minute early.
Anyways.
Hey, Deb.
Yep. I see a lot of people.
Go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, I see a lot of people, of course, from our channel and stuff like that. So, hey, you guys.
I was just going to say, yeah, there's a lot of people in here saying hi to you guys. And since Aspen doesn't have chat open, I'm going to let you know everybody's saying hi. Hello. Hello. I can't say much about anybody being late. Yeah, no, Sleuthy Goosey, you really can't. It's okay, though. Checking in, listening. Hey, Mustang. Hey, Jeanette. Thank you for being here. Digital. Hey, Miranda. Hey, Starlight Ann. Hey, Jen P. Listening, clearing out my storage so the feral stray kitties have somewhere to hunker down during the storm. Aww.
Yeah, I guess everyone in the Midwest is getting like pummeled with like snow and bad weather. I was talking to someone earlier today, and they woke up to no power, and they were like, and they panicked for a moment, but then they realized they had beer, wine, a fully stocked bar, and Girl Scout cookies.
They still have Girl Scout cookies?
Haven't had those in forever.
I responded, if I knew where you lived, I would loot your home for those Girl Scout cookies.
Mm-hmm. Oh, depending on what kind they are.
Right, true.
What's your favorite?
They're called different things, different places. Like,
true.
Like I live in North Carolina, and they're called tagalongs or Samoa. I grew up in Illinois, so I can't remember where they're called, which thing. But
so the tagalong is the chocolate covered with the peanut butter,
and the coke. No, the coke.
And then the Samoa is the one with the coconut.
That's what I'm thinking of. Those are my favorite.
Samoa. Those are my husband's favorites.
Do you have Girl Scout cookies in Canada?
We do, but I don't know what they are anymore. But they were simply chocolate and vanilla as a kid, And I just remember when the Girl Scout cookies, I would always buy them when I saw them. But then I know that throughout the years, they started changing different flavors, but I haven't kept up with any of the flavors for sure.
Okay.
So I live like right on the border of 2 different counties. So depending on who comes and knocking on the door or like where I go grocery shopping, they're called different things. So like the tagalongs are my absolute favorite, the peanut butter covered in chocolate. And so one, they're peanut butter patties, and on the other county, they're tagalongs. So I just say give them as a
the
peanut
ones
butter.
I'm a fan of are Thin Mints, and they're a lot of people's favorites.
Do you put them in the freezer?
I love Thin Mints too.
If I eat them, I like them in the freezer.
Tom ate 35 Girl Scout cookies in a few minutes for brunch. Which is ironic, though, because I don't think the Girl Scout cookies are considered breakfast or lunch.
Right.
So I'm not sure how that falls into the brunch category, but, it is what it is. I love that. Susie says, I love them all. Girl Scout cookies 2024, and the whole menu got an upgrade. What?
They're probably all gender-free, gluten-free. I'm kidding.
Yeah.
But they're all vegan.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
They're all non-binary.
Probably especially here in California. Okay, so we have a first case question. Bella wants to know, what do you guys think about Hunter's interview and Allie passing away, the Summer Wells case?
I'm not the
We
person
don't watch it.
because we actually did mention this. We did like a case update on Wednesday, and someone asked about Summer Wells, and we actually both talked about the fact that Summer Wells is one of those cases where that beautiful little girl, she deserves justice. She deserves to be found, whether she's alive or not. But the drama in that case, not that we can really speak because of Delphi, but the drama in that case has always kept me away from it. Anytime I go to look into it, I'm like, I can't weed through the minutia of the drama that's happening in it. And it's kept me really away from covering it.
Yeah, I did at the start, and then same thing. It got really ridiculous, and at the end of the day, just want her to be found like anyone. But there's certain cases we just stay away from because Delphi is like a load in itself. You know what I mean? It's exhausting enough, Delphi, and to cover cases like Lori Vallow and ones like that, or even like the Brian Kohlberger one's probably like the one that I can stay along with the most, but we don't cover it too much. Anyways, Delphi is exhausting enough. So
Summer Wells, when the case first broke, this is like when people ask me like, what's my biggest regret, which I'm going to ask you guys too. My biggest regret in like true crime was probably talking to so many people when it came to the Summer Wells case. So I was fresh out of like dealing with like the Chris Watts case, and so the Summer Wells case, and people had so many questions, and there were so many rumors, and it just spread like wildfire. It was so fast. So the channel I was with before, we ended up reaching out, and we ended up talking to Allie, which is Hunter's mom. The first person I actually spoke with was Candace, who would not come on and do an interview, but she answered questions that I was able to like put up on the screen and say like, okay, here's that, here's like what she said. And then I talked to Don Wells, which is Summer's dad's sister, a few times. We talked to the how many of you guys remember, like his name was David Dotson. He was like trying to help the family out right at the very beginning of all of this, and then people thought that
investigator.
No, he was the mortician.
Oh, okay.
And people like thought, so I talked to all those guys, and I thought that I was like, here's the answers to the questions. It's so naive. Here's the answers to your questions, and now you guys don't have to ask those questions anymore. But it caused like riots. Like people were like pissed, and everybody was like, this one's lying, and now that one's lying, and then it just like it went crazy. And then when I talked to like Don Wells' sister, then Don Wells has to go on another channel to like counteract everything his sister said, and I'm like, okay. Very quickly, I was like, I had to back away. Do I have a theory on what happened to Summer Wells? I believe she was taken. I believe she was abducted. And now the question for me really is, do I think they know? And at first I did. I thought maybe they knew what happened, but they are so intoxicated, so often, I cannot imagine that they don't spill the beans somehow, some way, to somebody. So I think she was taken. I think she was taken, and for a long time, maybe even still, I'm not sold that Summer's actually dead.
Oh, really?
I'm one of the very few.
Mm.
Yeah, I think she was taken and just abducted.
Yeah, and that's possibly. I mean, like I said, the case got really twisted very fast. It was honestly, it's like, sometimes when you're following cases and you feel like you're watching like this freaking sci-fi movie in a sense. That's how Summer Wells' case was to me. It was like, do these people really exist? Like these whack jobs out there?
Yes.
Yeah, they do. Yeah, absolutely. But I didn't realize that for a long time. Like the whack jobs that are just truly out there. That like you just wouldn't think that something like that story is like real, and it's like freaking like zombie.
The people live like that, and that their kids are just
it's great. Yeah, it's
all over the place. I think that they had no. Now we could talk about their parenting. I think that'd be a whole different story, but I don't really want to go into all that. But that's my thought. I'm not sold that she actually passed away. I think that she was taken, and I think that one of them would have said something to somebody that would have been incriminating if they did something at this point.
Well, I do feel the need as a resident of the Appalachia area, as well. In North Carolina, they're just a few hours away from me. It is refreshing to, as being a resident of the South, to know that this isn't geographically isolated, because the same could be said for Delphi, which is in the Midwest. The same could be said for Lori Vallow, and in that case, insane twists and turns that go around those cases, all in different parts of the country. So clearly there are crazy people everywhere.
There's a lot of them
in Canada too.
Yeah. Well, we don't have the population you guys do. Ours is nominal. It's like 35 million to 350 million in the U.S. Hope ours is like a drop in the bucket of wackos.
A drop in the bucket. I think I could pull out some Canadian cases where we could put that together. So I think that so yesterday. So if you guys are somewhat familiar with Summer Wells, so Hunter was the young man that went to the swimming hole with them that day. Yeah. His dad actually has a channel on YouTube, and he did an interview a few days ago. And then apparently Allie, who's the one that I had actually interviewed when this all first started, was in the ICU with pneumonia. Yesterday, it came out that she passed away. So when I was talking with some people about it, I got a lot of different feedback on whether she actually passed away. So I kind of left it because I was like, I'm not gonna argue with people of whether this lady passed away or not. So I felt, if she did, I feel terrible. But then somebody else last night was like really late last night was trying to tell me that she was still on a ventilator. So I don't know, and I don't want to like say this woman's passed away if she really hasn't.
Yeah, someone in chat there was saying, I think it was someone named Point. Something that was saying that she heard that she didn't pass away, and
so I'm kind of leaving that for like when there's more information of whether she did or not, because I don't know.
Yeah, like I know who Hunter is. I know he's the 16-year boy, and that's the one that's pretty much where I dropped the case, because all these adults that come on and they're leaving the nastiest comments on this guy's Facebook. He's like, 15, 16 years old at the time. And I just couldn't believe that all these adults were attacking him, calling him a murderer, all these things. And it was just ridiculous. And it was just turning into like absurdity. And anyway, so I do know who the mom is. So I didn't know that something had happened again if I followed the case, I guess. But hopefully she's not, dead.
Yeah, I'm hopefully not. But like I said, I don't know if anybody in chat actually has a concrete answer on it, but kind of is what it is.
Yeah.
So you brought up Lori Vallow, so I want to talk about that for just a hot second. So today, because you know that Chad Daybell is supposed to go to court on April 1st, April Fool's Day, his attorney quit today.
Yeah, I seen
heard about
something
that.
like that. Yeah.
So now that's going to be pushed back.
Absolutely.
God only knows how long.
Right.
I don't follow it anymore. I did for quite a while until it got wacko again. Like this whole zombie.
Like I can
thing.
only deal with one wacko case at a time.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's to cover like Delphi, look, we know is deep enough and wacko enough and stuff like that. But to truly invest all that time and to cover it extensively, just don't have the ability to want to do that. It's just too much. It's to keep up with the craziness of a couple of those cases is just no, thank you.
Right. But like you said, Teresa, I mean, it's clearly going to cause another delay in that case. And, you know, I remember watching the grandparents of those two kids on the court steps the day that Lori got convicted. And, you know, and they knew that they were going to have this other trial coming up. So, I mean, that's where my heart always goes, is like to think about like what the impact on like those types of what those people have on a day like today, because, you know, at this point, I'm sure they just want that to be over with. You know, they want justice to be served. They want to figure out what kind of life they're going to proceed with after this. And until it's over with, they can't. So this is just going to be a delay in that.
I'm happy that, because, you know, with that case, they didn't release the bodies to families. And finally, just in the last, you know, few months, they finally did. So I can't imagine if they hadn't just done that and then this got delayed and they were going to keep the bodies for that much longer also.
Right.
Like no closure whatsoever, ever. I mean, I know that closure is such a, you know, word when it comes to this, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So then you have Lori, who's now going to trial in Arizona.
That's right.
And so she's still saying that she wants a speedy trial. So they're saying that her hearing will be sometime her trial will be sometime by September of this year.
Right. Well, I mean, she has to time her hair and makeup.
I was going to say, I mean, honestly.
The Dorito lipstick or whatever it is.
Right.
Watching her makes me puke, honestly. Lori Vallow. Like, these poor children. And then the brother that's still alive, like, I think his name is Ryan, the older brother.
Her oldest son.
Lori Vallow's oldest
Colby.
son.
Yeah, Colby Ryan.
Yeah. Colby. That's what it is. Thank you. It's sickening. It's sickening. Looking at Lori Vallow, looking at Daybell there, Chad Daybell, honestly, it's just horrific what they did. Like, the story behind it is what's crazy too. It's just crazy.
That the children were taken over by different levels of zombies, and
right. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And then they all had different names.
Yeah.
They got like everybody who was possessed or being taken over as they became more evil, their names continued to change.
Right. Especially when you think about like the fact that, you know, like that one video came out of the little boy, you know, in those pajamas, which you know then turns out are the ones that he was found in, and you know that's where it really puts things into perspective for you, because chances are that was probably the last night of that little boy's life, and that incomprehensible.
How many people were around these guys that knew this stuff was happening but didn't take it seriously because they just didn't think that was like the end result, but so many people were involved that could have put a stop to it that now have to live with the fact that they did it.
Yeah.
Yeah. You know what was crazy about that, Teresa, was that, I'm hearing an echo all of a sudden.
Yeah, same.
Oh,
it just started.
Probably.
Let's see if it's better. I think it's better. It's better?
Yeah.
Okay. I was actually listening to this psychic named Donna Serafina. And I just happened to be listening to this case of the Lori Vallow case. Now, this is before it became really huge in a sense. And so I was listening to her. God bless her for the mumbling that she does, which drives me batty. But anyways, so I was listening to about 2.5 hours of it. And I remember so this was like probably in early spring, maybe even in January or something. And I remember when September came along and all of a sudden they're looking for like the children and whatever. And I remember instantly going back in my brain to Donna Serafina's reading. And because I remembered about the fire pit, about the bag and all that. And I was actually just floored by what I remembered from this psychic lady, Donna Serafina, to what was happening. And, I don't usually, I have to really believe in a true psychic medium and stuff like that. But anyways, I just remember going back to it and going, wow. And that's when I kind of started following it for quite a while until it got the whole, like different levels of zombieism and why they, Then it got too much after a bit. And I was like, can't do this case. Somebody just super chatted, just sorry.
Yeah, I was muted because I think I might be the echo, but since I can't hear it myself, so somebody else is gonna have to tell me if I am.
No, you're good now.
Okay. So Donna, it's ironic that you bring up Donna because Donna has covered most of the cases, that are mainstream or become the popular cases, but I think she really hit some points with the Vallow Daybell case.
Yeah.
And then people have really invested a lot into what she says about other ones, but
yes,
I don't follow her, so I don't know the details to everything she said. I did listen to one that she talked about with Summer, but because we don't have a resolution with that, I don't know if any of it's accurate or not.
Yeah,
so I'm gonna.
I don't follow her.
See what happens.
She was from the Suzanne Morphew case. That's why I remember her, because Suzanne Morphew and Sweetie Pie Low. Were from the Suzanne Morphew case. So you're correct. She follows a lot of cases. I don't particularly follow her, but this is, like I said, kind of like when I came across that case was because of this reading. I had no clue about the case, but it was just the realization that there was a lot of info there that she was hitting on the head with that. Can't tell you about the other cases either, but
I do know that somebody said that she hit the nail on the head with Suzanne Morphew about the tree. Something about a tree when Suzanne was found, but I never listened to the reading, so it kind of is what it is. But Lead with Love is like, no, we got to go back to Delphi. She's not going to let us leave Delphi. She wants us to stay there for a hot minute. Says, I got a reply from RA. That means he is receiving his inmate funds. So I'm curious.
I have to say, I was watching, I didn't catch all of your live earlier, but I did catch a little bit, and I happened to see Lead with Love made a comment in your live that said something along the lines of, that RA was not getting money on his books or on his
commissary,
not getting funds on his commissary or whatever, and that she could prove that, or they could prove that. I don't know if that was a female or a male, but so it's interesting to hear just a few hours later that they got a reply from. I would be curious, of course, to know. Selfishly, I want to know what that reply was.
Yeah, I do too. So Lead with Love. Thank you for the super chat, by the way. But so when you put money on somebody's commissary, do they like? Yeah, do you get like a response that says like thank you for whatever, and so that way you know that it's on there? I don't really know how that works.
Me neither.
Yeah, I've never put money on someone's commissary or anything.
Let me see if they respond. Yeah. I posted the reply on Twitter. Okay, maybe one of the mods will grab it and send it to Messenger. Okay, so somebody else brought up Sarah Boone. Are you familiar with Sarah Boone's case?
I am not.
A little bit.
It's not a case I'm familiar with.
So my friend Jen Lou in the chat, she's going to cover anything Sarah Boone. She reads like all of her letters. It's hysterical. But Sarah Boone is the one who was playing hide and seek with her boyfriend, and he was
the suitcase.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she apparently now has a trial date, which is interesting because she just got a new attorney. So how's she going to trial already? They said that, would you guys say January 26th, like this month?
I'd have to go back and look at the email that Charmaine sent me. She was the one that had sent me that date. I don't believe her whatsoever. At all. That Sarah Boone playing hide and seek crap.
And she thought he could get out of the suitcase, so she just went upstairs and went to bed.
Yeah.
Right.
And left him in there.
Yep.
Well, let me see if you understand.
Yeah.
Okay, I think they're still talking about Richard Allen.
Yeah.
The families don't benefit from the ballpark.
January 16th, Charmaine says.
How is that possible?
That's
She went through like 7 or 8 attorneys. I'm trying to figure out.
Hey, Charmaine.
I think because he's basically doing what the prior attorney was doing, so he's basically carrying the baton to the finish line. Interesting. Mrs. Depp says, I'm going to write that in an appreciation greeting card for one of my true crime friends. Just want you to know how much you mean to me. I would put money on your commissary. That's loyalty right there. I hope you're going to write that to me. Somebody's going to need to put some on mine. Make sure I'm getting, deodorant and stuff.
Right. Or Cheetos for your lipstick.
I do. I'm going to need some Cheetos. I'm going to need They got all mad at me in chat because I said it was Doritos. And they're like, it was hot Cheetos.
Right. It was taquitos.
Yeah.
Let me see what other ones they're talking about. Hey, Rhonda. I was wondering where you were on the last live. So since we're going to talk about Delphi for a hot minute here, let's talk about the documents that dropped today. Oh, my gosh.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Because Rhonda works in the prison system also. So that's why I was talking about like what her thoughts were earlier, but she wasn't in the live earlier today. She was probably working. But so you read through them. I know Sonny Aspen, I think you're the one who actually sent the screenshotted one. Thank gosh you got your hands on that before it got sealed on that affidavit. That was a quick seal.
It was. Well, I mean, I have to credit. I got them secondhand, and I believe I think you said Sleuthy Goosey is in chat.
She was, yeah.
And I believe that's where I actually ended up getting them from.
Look at you, Sleuthy Goosey.
Hey, Mustang.
Yeah. Oh, look at Black Swan gave me some commissary money.
There you go. Take
Cheetos coming right up. So I'll pull them up, I guess, so that just in case anybody who wasn't in the live earlier, I don't want to reread through them, but we can hit on some of the hot points because also earlier when I did read through them, I was in my head mashing together Westville and Wabash. So I was like, wait a minute, so now there's Odin guards at Wabash, and then I had to stop myself in the middle of the live and go, okay, hold on, let me backtrack all of this and see where everything actually falls. I
know, you know what, Teresa, I did the same thing. And meaning when I was reading it, I'm like, they're making it sound like it's Wabash when it's really Westville.
Right. Well, but they did see him at both places. So, it's easy to confuse. So. Yeah,
and they're both W. So, but I was like, wait a minute. I was like, this isn't making sense. But what actually made me realize it was somebody in chat was like, no, that's Westville. And then I was like, wait, Randy Jones, the name triggered me to go, wait a minute, that's the same guard from before.
Yeah.
Right. Because remember, Jones is, I don't know if you touched on this in your live earlier, but Jones is the one that tased Richard Allen.
Isn't that interesting? Did he do both the tases? Because remember, he was tased twice in May.
I only remember one of them being given because there were. I only remember Jones being referred to as the the person that tased. So I don't know if that meant both or if it just referred to one and we don't know who did the other.
All right, let me pull it up real quick.
Oh, did you miss
now
it?
I understand that. It makes more sense to me too, that it's two separate situations. They went and saw him. The new attorneys went and saw him at both places.
Yeah.
I'll share it. Hi, David. My name is David. I'm a huge horror movie buff and a true crime nut. Well, welcome.
Hey, me too.
Me three, I guess.
David, what's your favorite horror movie?
Yeah, what is your favorite horror movie? I don't like scary movies.
Oh, I love them.
I don't like. I used to watch them all the time, but now I could care less. I prefer comedy, to be honest.
Yeah, well, I'm curious. What's your favorite scary movie?
Halloween, the original.
Yeah, Halloween.
Old school Halloween.
Same.
That's yours too?
Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And there was one called Valentine. There was a Valentine's Day.
Oh, yeah, Valentine's Day is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I think the scariest that I go with is I Know What You Did Last Summer. Or,
Oh my God.
Or scary movie.
Okay.
Those are my kind of scary movies. The ones that are legit scary. Yeah. I don't know. I think I was watching. It was either House on Haunted Hill or the Hill. They'd always do the two movies at the same time, Hill, Haunted House on or whatever it was. They name them the same thing. I was watching one of those, and I was like, yeah, no, I don't want to do this anymore. I've never watched The Purge. I won't watch that.
Yeah, I haven't watched. I've never watched some of the new, some of the what's the one with the corkscrew guy, Saw. I've never watched those.
Oh yeah, no, I don't watch those either.
But
I
think for me, the thing that I like about the Halloween movie, especially the original, is that you don't know what you don't have a motive. There's nothing really to point towards why he's so evil, but he is.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, I don't like those. Go ahead.
Oh no, I was just gonna say, when you said that, so that probably is one of my favorite movies because I use that line a lot of times when I'm talking to someone and they probably have no idea what I'm referring to when I say to somebody in the message, I know what you did last summer. I know what you did.
They're probably it's freaking creepy.
Because of that movie. That was one of my favorites as well. Probably actually beats out Halloween. Sorry, Adam.
What did you guys think about? And I'll go back to the document. I know I'm totally all over the place. It's just how it's going to be tonight. What did you guys think about Blair Witch?
Oh, okay. Can I take that one?
Do it.
Yeah.
Okay, so I remember exactly when that one came out, and we watched it on some sort of we were ripping off satellite or whatever it was. I just remember. And so I remember when it came out, that one made me shit my drawers so many times. Oh, sorry, is that too bad? My drawers so many times. And then all of a sudden, then you realize it was just all bullshit. And I was so pissed off that I didn't, I thought it was true the entire time. So I was very disappointed when I realized I was duped.
Well, I mean, hey, it had a social media campaign before there was social media.
They wanted people to believe it was really
right.
It was real. So most people went to watch it not really sure whether it was real or wasn't. And if it was real, it was scary. That would have been. I went to the movie theater to watch that and sat in the front row, freaking front row, because it was sold out. So I was watching it like this.
See, we had watched it on TV because we were ripping it off through satellite, I remember. And I just, like I said, so yeah, that one made me shit my pants. That was probably the only true one that actually probably gave me freaking nightmares. And then when I realized it was a bunch of farce, I was so pissed off.
When I was young, my brother, one of my older brothers, but the one that's closer to me in age, loved to watch scary movies. And so he had me watch Children of the Corn.
Oh, yes. Yeah.
We lived in Indiana at the time, and we were staying my parents were building a house, and so we were staying in this duplex that had there was a duplex and then a lake, and then there was a hotel. So if I wanted to go and get food or something, I had to walk this whole long gravel driveway that was surrounded in cornfields. So I just want you to picture that when I was probably 9 or 10, and I had to go up to this hotel so I could get some food or whatever we needed, and I ran as fast as I could. I mean, just like they're never gonna catch me. I ran as fast as I could up to that hotel through the cornfields because you didn't have a choice. That's the only way you could get there. It's petrified. I hate that movie to this day, but I know if I went back and watched it now, I probably wouldn't.
Yeah.
It would be like, well, this is so stupid, but I can't even bring myself to do that. It's still in my brain that is scary.
Ooh, Pet Cemetery. That one where he hacked off the foot underneath the bed and comes out with the freaking knife and starts, that one freaked me out. And Piranha, the movie Piranha too.
I never saw that one.
See, I grew up looking like I should have been cast in Children of the Corn, so for me that one was like and there were cornfields on 3 sides of my house.
Yeah. Children of the Corn, terrible movie. Terrible. I lived in Indiana when I was young. So I was born in Illinois. Somebody was asking where I lived. I was born in Illinois, and then I moved to Indiana, and I lived in Kendallville, Decatur, and Rensselaer.
All right.
And then I moved to Ohio, and then I moved back to Indiana. Then I moved to Tennessee. Then I moved back to Indiana, and then I moved to California, and then I moved back to Illinois, and then I moved back to California.
Where in Illinois were you from?
Belvedere was where I was born, up by Rockford. It's about 45 minutes north of Chicago.
Okay. I grew up in a really small town in southern Illinois. So
yeah, we talked about this because I also lived in a really small town where the home of the great white squirrel. I lived in Olney, Illinois when I went back as an adult. I was the manager in the Mama Chase, seriously? You live in Kendallville, Indiana? I lived there, Kendallville, 3rd. Nope. It had to be probably 2nd, 3rd grade. Small town. Look at these. Small town. South Central Illinois.
Right.
Oh. Gage. They named their son Gage after the Pet Cemetery kid.
Actually, my old ex-boss's Bruce's son's name was Gage too. And, it's one of those.
After Pet Cemetery?
You know what? Never asked. Didn't care, actually. But I just remember going, because Gage is kind of one of those odd names, right? It's not, because you kind of think about pressure tire to me when I think of a gauge, like we put. But anyways, it's one of those unique names that kind of you remember. But I forgot that in Pet Cemetery that it was Gage. But yeah.
Like Ezekiel in Children of the Corn. Wasn't it Ezekiel?
It's something like that. I don't. Ezekiel's. When I hear Ezekiel, I just think of the whole like, what's your name? Did you guys ever see that? You know what I'm talking about.
You know how many of you know how many people in your chat are probably like, get to Delphi.
I know. Whatever.
I know. Whatever.
Oh, Cujo. Cujo was a good one. A lot of people are scared of Jaws. I didn't realize that. My dad was afraid of Jaws, and he wouldn't go in the ocean because of it.
You know what? Okay, I'm not going to lie. I do think about Jaws. Whenever I'm looking at an ocean, I'm instantly thinking about the Jaws movie and how many sharks are near the shore. Whenever I see those vacation resorts, so I'm not going to lie, that one impacted my life as well. For wanting to, yeah.
When I have friends that are at the beach and I'm jealous, I like to send them the Shark Finder app, that shows the location of the sharks that are near where they're at, just to F with them. I do that.
I'm totally gonna do that because I live by the beach. Right. I mean, not right up the beach. I mean, 10, 15 minutes away. So all kinds of people are going. I'm gonna do that. So messed up. I love it.
If you're gonna tell me you're at the beach while I'm at work, I'm gonna show you where the sharks are.
Yeah. That's funny.
I'll go in the ocean, but I literally go right there, right at the little end. That's about as far as. When I was young, I'd go all the way. I was crazy. But as I got old, I got anxiety, and then I was like, okay, I can't live like that anymore.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. You know what scared me, Teresa? Even though it was a lake, With the ocean, we have White Rock, the ocean, and the Pacific Ocean, of course, over here. But I remember when I was at a lake in, I think it was it wasn't Shuswap, Sylvan Lake. And we were at the water slides. But anyways, there was a lake beside it. And I remember just trudging along, and all of a sudden I went underneath. And so I quickly paddled back like a little freaking walrus. And I looked down, and it was like looking at, there's the ground, and then it was just deep black. And that just kind of made me panic after that, because I'm just like underneath, and then like I said, it was freaked me
That's
out.
scary.
Yeah, I can swim. I'm just not a fan of what's inside of the water so much.
No, it's scary underneath there. You know how many big things live under there that you have no idea what's down there?
I know.
Mm-mm.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll talk about Delphi. We'll talk about.
All right, fine.
Somebody asked, I lived near Delphi. Is that what attracted me to like the case? So that's actually interesting, because that's another one I wanted to talk about too. Was no, I followed true crime like my whole life. So when the girls went missing and like it came up on the news and people were talking about Delphi, like I was paying attention, but it didn't actually bring me in. I wasn't really overly paying attention to it. It was just like a case I knew about that was happening. And then when the 2019 press conference happened, and there was such a drastic change in all the information that had been out there, I was like, there's something wrong here. So then I was like, all right, let me dive in and go all the way back. And I wasn't in like Facebook true crime groups really until 2018 with like the Chris Watts case. So then I started joining a bunch of Delphi groups, and I had friends who had followed Delphi from the beginning, so they were filling me in on like the first 2 years of all the crazy that had happened. And so I like knew of the case but never dug into it until 2019. And then when the Keegan Klein stuff happened, I was like, I don't really know how I feel about this. I kind of backed away. And then they arrested Richard Allen, and I was good. I was like, all right, here, they finally did it. They've got the guy. I'm done. I think I did like a couple lives to just kind of recap the case once I started this channel. And then this year, or 2023, the whole thing happened with the attorneys. When the attorneys said they wanted cameras in the courtroom, and I was covering Idaho at the time, and Idaho was fighting against cameras in the courtroom, I was like, what? There's more to this. So then let me dig back in. So the deepest part of Delphi, I would say I've only dug in like really 2 times. I left and came back. This would be like I would say my second like deep dive into the case. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Ed.
I heard about Delphi when the case happened, but outside of like just hearing about what happened, I had been following true crime prior to that, but I didn't deep dive like true crime cases at that point. And then I remember the first time I really became very invested in Delphi was the Down the Hill podcast put on by HLN. And I've said this before, but Libby and Abby, it's like tragic what happened to them. But the thing that hooked me into like really wanting to invest and follow this case was hearing Becky Patty and just hearing the strength that woman had, and the role that woman played in so many people's lives, that reminded me of a lot of really strong women that I've had in my life that I've been incredibly grateful for. That it made me immediately, not knowing anything about Libby or Abby, just so grateful that those girls had a woman like that in their corner, that it made me want to know more about their story. And from there, I, of course, followed the case. And what got me into YouTube, I had no idea that like true crime was even a whole thing on YouTube until the Anthony Shots information came out on December 6th, 2021. Because I'd listened to the podcast, I'd followed the case through, main media, basically. And then after the Anthony Schatz information came out, I wanted more information about like what was happening in the case, and I couldn't find anything. There were no updates on the podcast. There were no updates really past that, the first couple of news reports on that. And I went to YouTube one day and literally Googled Delphi, and Sunny's channel popped up.
It's a whole new world.
and literally, it at that point, Sunny was, I think most people know Sunny had a POI with Delphi, but it like watching her channel, it opened my eyes to the whole aspect of the community of Delphi, and the other players that were on the peripheral of all of this. And so that really is where I got into, and then I was like, wait, this whole YouTube thing is like crazy.
It really is.
And that was before I realized that, TikTok is really the Wild West. I thought YouTube was the Wild West of true crime. It's TikTok. YouTube puts up a good fight, but TikTok is really the Wild West of true crime. So.
Well, that's because they have like a time limit. You have to do all of it very quick, so you have to fight back quick.
Yeah,
right.
It's constantly going all the time.
Yeah.
So that was a very long answer, but I apologize.
No,
but that's kind of how that was my introduction into the case, and into.
Oh. So, Sunny, what brought you into Delphi?
I've said this multiple times, but for anyone who doesn't know, it was simply I was not into any sort of true crime. I cannot stand to hear that somebody has died at the hands of another person. And so on the right side of my screen, I just kept looking at this bridge with these two girls in this Delphi case. And I regrettably, in some ways, clicked on it. And I know I shouldn't have, because I stayed away from 26. I just refused to watch the news or read the paper anymore. I was just tired of all these killings going on. So I stayed away. So that was the first time that I ever clicked on anything to do with somebody's death. But something obviously gravitated me to click on it. Then I realized it was a really wacko case, because there was like these two sketches. So I looked at it for a bit. And then the Suzanne Morphew case came out, and I was like, these people can handle Delphi, and I'm just going to scoot over to this Suzanne Morphew case, because that one just blew me away, because she disappeared on Mother's Day. And so I was following that one for pretty much a year. And then I was like, when you spend your basically day living, eating, breathing a case, and then you just realize that you're just so exhausted, but it's like always on your mind. So I had to find some sort of balance. So after I made, I think, a Mother's Day tribute video the next year, I decided that I decided I was going to go look at Delphi, because what I couldn't understand about Delphi was that they had this video, they had this voice, they had all this stuff, and yet they still hadn't found these girls. And this was about I want to say 3.5 years ago. But anyways, and then I just stayed with Delphi, because it's like a puzzle. I like kind of trying to figure out puzzles. So really, bottom line was, the girls, to me, Libby left a video to basically say, please bring us our justice for our deaths, basically. So that's always where my heart has been. And then, as time went on, obviously, listening to Becky and Anna talk, it's just a very heartbreaking case.
Gosh, yeah.
Yeah. So for me, it was always about that Libby left this video, and, whoever helps bring justice, whether it's the true crime bringing information or whatever, it doesn't matter. It was just, you just kind of get sucked into it. And for me, that was the purpose. And it's always the purpose. I don't really care everyone has their opinions with this case. For me, my purpose is always Abby and Libby, and the fact that they get justice for the crime. It doesn't matter if my POI was right or wrong, whatever, or it doesn't matter. Bottom line is, I just want to see them get justice. That's what they deserve, like anybody else. And for those two girls, it just breaks your heart as a parent, right? As a parent, anyone that's a parent, anyone that has any sort of kind of heart, it just breaks your heart when you hear stuff like this. But it's just a small town of 3,000 and something like this happens. But it was justice. I just want justice because of the video that came out that these girls are saying, here, look at, this is the person.
You did it. Pay attention.
Yeah. So
so were you not into true crime before at all?
At all? Nope, not at all. I still even struggle with it now. I do.
Sunny does not like true crime. Sunny many times has said to me, like, I wish that we just had a comedy channel because I don't like true crime.
I do and I don't. I don't like knowing that people were killed at the hands of other people.
Oh yeah.
Because I take it on as their feelings. So if someone's heart's breaking, I instantly feel that hurt in my own heart as if it was happening to me. But obviously it's not, but you feel that way. So I'm kind of like, all my life, I've always been this happy-go-lucky type personality. So this is like downer shit to me, to be honest with you. And so the bright light of all of this is that you're bringing awareness to cases, you're talking about them. And as a community as a whole, it's like, the more people there are, the more awareness there is for these cases, whether it's someone missing or murdered or a true crime sleuth happens to have, information, like how fast true crime sleuths can put out information faster than the news and stuff like that. So I hate deaths, and I hate children, especially being involved in deaths. It just breaks my heart. So the bonus is about the awareness, and that's the part where it keeps me into the true crime. But would I pick it as a community that I would normally want to be in? Absolutely not. It's just
that is so interesting.
It's not my cup of tea, really. Besides the fact that I just love the fact that people can make a difference by sharing, caring, and helping out others and stuff like that. Just
how the heck you ended up doing a true crime channel?
Yeah, I still struggle with it. It's very hard. It's just really hard on the heart. So I have to balance.
Yeah, I agree with that. You identify as an empath, I assume.
Absolutely. So I struggle with the hurt because, like I said, it's when you're normally go through life and you're just more of a bubbly person and you're just trying to watch, say, comedies and, be happy-go-lucky and blah, blah, blah. This stuff weighs on an empathic person. It just weighs on you. There's no taking, like, no matter what, your just heart hurts. It's not like I can sit there and tell myself, like, okay, like this is, box it and block it type of thing. But it's really hard to do that. But I'm able to do that a lot more now. Normally, I'd be sobbing, tearing on that killing of an animal, a person. It doesn't matter.
I can't do it. So that's ironic because like my husband actually doesn't understand because I can't watch movies or shows where animals die.
Yeah, no, same.
And he's like, it's not real, right? And I'm like, it doesn't matter. I can't watch it. He's like, you talk about people being killed like every day of your life, but you can't watch a show where an animal dies that it's fake. And I'm like, I can't do it. I don't know why. So even before like we had kids, like him and his family, they would make fun of me because they would always try to say like if there was like an emergency, and I'm not going to say what kind of emergency they'd use because of the context of everything that's happening around this case, not the case itself, but they'd be like, you would go save the animals before you would save the children. And I'm like, I would save whoever was there first. Like if I go in the door and there's a dog, I would save the dog. And they're like, but no, there's children there. Like you, and I'm like, I don't know what I would do. I've never been in that situation, but they would always give me a really hard time. My husband still gives me a hard time because I can't handle animal stuff.
I used to
say. Good thing you have him now. He can save the kids. You can save the dog.
Well, I try to train them just to come with me. So then like when they're always like, why do the dogs just follow you around everywhere? I'm like, so in case there's an emergency and I have to like evacuate, they just come with and I don't have to worry about getting them. I can worry about getting you because you don't follow me around.
My husband, Teresa, lots of times will come into the room and I'll just be like, husband. And I'll be sobbing. And he's like, okay, just don't watch the stuff then. And I'm just like, I know, but like many times he comes in the room going, okay, you're watching something sad again, aren't you? No.
Oh, I do. I'm a crier too.
I'm
I know
a
people.
crier.
I'm a crier at like weird stuff. Like I cry at books. Like when I read like a book that has like something really sad happening, I'll cry. I cry at movies. I cry at TV shows. I really cry at the end of like a series that I really cared about, and like the series finale, or if like a main character dies, I'll cry. And even my daughter's like, I can't even watch TV with you.
Mm.
Message in a Bottle. Do you guys remember that movie?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Bawled my eyes out.
Yeah. I'm just a baller, but as you get older, you try to be able to block things. But
No, I cry more.
I used for animals, especially back in the day. Oh my God, I'd literally sit there and be watching these. There was this movie that was like X-rated, and it had all these different types of. We'll just say it was a movie that came out, which had all these bad things that happen to people. And then I'm watching like the seals, and I'm just, and you're sitting there looking at it like this, and I'm crying. Like I would just bawl like a baby.
Yeah, don't watch Free Willy or anything. That'll get you.
Anyway.
Okay, so this question's been up here for a while. This was for you, Aspen.
Okay. Was Anthony Schatz really planning to meet Libby? And did KK really Google the Delphi Marathon gas station? If you go by the interrogation interview that was released, at one point, Anthony Schatz, or Keegan Klein says he was supposed to meet Libby. We've not actually seen the communications between Anthony Schatz and Libby. So can you believe anything Keegan Klein says? It's hard to tell. I don't discount that. And when it comes to Googling the Delphi Marathon gas station, I know that is something that came out through Murder Sheet. And I personally, this is just my opinion, I believe that was probably information that they were told or given by a source. Whether it's true or not, I have no idea. But I do believe that they were given that information or told that by a source.
Yeah.
But as for its like validity, I've never seen anything to prove that from anywhere other than their reporting.
Agreed.
I've heard it. I've never seen it, like you said, and I also have heard the opposite of like that wasn't true. It was supposedly, and you guys take this for what you want. Supposedly, one of the friends is the one who said that Keegan was that Keegan told her he was supposed to meet Abby and Libby. Like there was like a whole roundabout thing that Keegan isn't even the one that said it. It was this girlfriend that said it.
Well, in that transcript, he's saying it to a friend. He said, "I was supposed to meet her." Remember, it was like there was like someone messaged Anthony Schatz and said, "Did you hear about Libby?" And he said, "Yeah," or like I was supposed to meet her. Like but so.
That's what the transcripts say from Keegan Klein.
Yeah.
Not okay. I got you.
Yeah.
So that is where it comes from. It does come from a roundabout way. It's not actually, it's him saying it to a third party, but it is in that transcript.
Right. The ski mask incident, girl. Supposedly, we haven't even seen proof of that either.
Hold on. So Lynn said Julie made a video but got deleted later. Of that situation. I don't know. Julie made a video of the Keegan Klein stuff. Could be a comment to something else. That's what Kelsey said from the police station. See, I don't know. I don't know enough about it to have any thought on it. I just remember hearing it from like 5 different directions of different things.
Right. Well, the one thing I can say is that in the transcripts when they were talking to Keegan Klein, they read a part back from that where they say, like so and so said that. Did you hear about Libby? And he said, yeah, I was supposed to meet her.
But not that day. It just said.
But it never says that day. It just says I was supposed to meet her.
So in the transcripts, the cops are telling him this is what we have. So we don't even know if the cops are telling the
Telling the
truth or if
truth,
somebody else
exactly.
told the cops that.
Exactly.
Got you. As I said, I like literally, I'm going to have to do like a whole week of just Keegan Klein stuff because once that really got dug into, I was like out. I was like, nah, I don't. Like I ain't making it up any hill.
And I
He's not making it down a hill. He's not making it up a hill. So
yeah, I don't disbelieve it would be true. I've just never personally seen, concrete evidence of it.
okay.
Yeah.
Charmaine asked, didn't RA's mom live close to TK for years? I heard that
Right.
somewhere.
Oh, I see. Didn't RA's mom? Oh.
Well, I mean, they live in Peru. Yeah,
Peru?
so yeah.
Yeah.
That could
But I
be
thought
it.
his parents lived in Mexico. Not Mexico country, Mexico the city.
Well, they live in, but they've lived in Peru for years. So
Yeah.
Okay.
Like
so I mean, so you could make that argument easily.
very close to the Tony Klein, like within probably what, a block or so, I think it was.
But does that constitute, does that mean they knew each other? I
Probably.
mean, Callista
be honest.
Schatz lived across the street and said she didn't know him.
That she didn't know RA, Adam.
No, didn't know Tony Klein, remember?
Callista Schatz.
That
That's a boat.
she just saw them come and go. She didn't know them, but she lived across the street from them.
Yeah. Sure.
Did I freeze? Or is that you guys?
What? I think it was you. I didn't notice it. But
I'm freezing, I think, you guys.
are you?
I don't
I'm
see-
warm.
No, not like I mean, I am cold.
No,
but
I'm
no.
kidding.
Okay, I think I did that now. You guys went into black circles and started doing the
Oh,
whole.
it does that to me too
blinding
sometimes, Teresa. But yeah, I didn't
Okay.
notice it really with you.
Okay, so I didn't mean to interrupt. I couldn't hear anything you were saying. So keep going.
Black Swan says, "I love how measured you are." Okay, well, I won't be. I'm being honest and direct. Sorry.
Oh no, I love
to
it.
be measured.
Well, measured's not bad, is it?
No.
I think it's
What was the
concise.
comment?
I'm just upset about how much better your purple looks than mine. I'm just going to be honest with you here.
Yeah.
They said your hair is getting so long.
I need to cut it. Sorry.
Okay, so then also that so Ron Logan's cousin that he used for the alibi also lives near the Kleins.
Right. Nulf.
I mean,
I
come
can't remember the
on,
names anymore. I know.
Nulf.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't his name David? Isn't his name
David
Nulf?
Yeah, David. Yeah.
David Nulf.
Yeah.
The one person
he lives over
I
there.
have never been able to find a picture of. He's the one person in this entire case I cannot find a picture of.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay, now you're going to make it a personal mission.
Trust me.
I'm going to have
Someone
to go
can
find a
it.
picture.
I've had good.
Does
people
anybody
even-
have a picture of David Nulf?
I've
Does
had,
anybody have a? Does anybody give you my English accent? Would you
I've
like
had
some
good
tea?
people
Do you
look
have a
for it.
picture of David Nulf? David Nulf.
MSK.
It's Ron Logan's cousin.
it was his alibi.
What a
Yeah,
mess
it's
Delphi is.
alibi who comes in and tells you. Lynn says, "What about the shots? The next door neighbor."
Callista Shots. Yeah.
Callista Schatz lived across the street. The next door neighbor was oh my god,
Oh, you. I know because it's been such a minute since we've talked about
Yeah.
this stuff.
it really has.
You're talking about his
And I've
women?
talked to him. Derek Hayes.
Derek
Dirk
Hayes,
Hayes.
yeah. No, what is it? Was it Derek Hayes?
Dirk.
Dirk. That's it. Dirk. Yeah. Yeah. Just honestly, all I can say, I can't even say it enough. Just what a really twisted case, right? We go from all this stuff, and they bring in Anthony Schott's account, and the last name Schatz lives across the street, but hey, I don't know who the blinds are, and he changes the dates of when he's working on his Facebook to working in Nevada. I mean, there's so many things. Like, I'm just waiting for it all to play out, in all fairness, because it's.
And then you want to throw in the Wabash River search.
I know, just it all. It's just right. And then you
The
throw in
Wabash
this
River
whole Odinism stuff now. It's just like, wow. Like, I mean, it feels like we're going around the earth about 4 times here, with all the different things that keep coming around with Delphi. And so nothing even shocks me with Delphi at all anymore. If there turns out to
Like,
be
whatever. The next thing that's expected, it's what's expected. So okay, so let's talk about the Wabash River search. What do you what do you think the point of it was? Do you think they found anything?
Adam, do you want to go first? Well,
so interesting. Look at you guys are like,
Well, it's because like you're told that there's a source that says it's connected to Delphi from a police officer. So between murder sheets saying stuff and coming out with stuff and whatever, do I think that Wabash search has something to do with it? I don't effing know anymore, Teresa. Honestly, I did and I didn't. I don't even know anymore.
I'm asking you guys because I'm like, I don't know. I have no idea.
I believe that law enforcement wholeheartedly believed that there may be a connection with Keegan Klein and the homicides. I feel like the Wabash River search was a result of something they were told either by or in relation to Keegan Klein. And I feel like it ended up being a very extensive, very expensive endeavor, and one which they wouldn't be very happy if it turned out to literally just have been a wild goose chase. So I don't know if they found anything. I know that I was told that they did, but I also have been told that there's no connection between Keegan Klein and Richard Allen. So that's where I feel, conflicted as far as because we were all very focused on that Wabash River search when it was going on. Mm-hmm. And my God, it was 5 weeks?
Yeah.
And I think cost over $1 million. And then, of course, law enforcement's not going to want to come out and be like, yeah, there was nothing there. But if they found something and it did have to do with Keegan Klein, how could there not be a connection between Keegan Klein and Richard Allen or whoever is responsible for the double homicide? But I've spent a year now going back and forth with that. But I do think at the end of the day, I don't think Keegan Klein had any direct involvement with the murders of Libby and Abby. I think if it turns out he had something to do with it, it'll be to do with the luring or, getting them there. I still don't think that's the case. I think that he's completely unrelated.
Seems so messed up, doesn't it?
And I know a lot of people I know I'm in the minority with that. But
are you? I don't know if you're in the minority.
Yeah, I don't think anymore.
I don't think so. Well, I mean, I think that people probably agree with you on the fact that if there is a connection, it has to do with the luring or something to do with the profiles and the interactions between all those players.
Yeah.
I figure he's got to have something to do with something because they still keep him on that index thing. And now they move Richard Allen to Wabash and immediately move Keegan Klein out of Wabash. And then I'm like, okay, if he's not connected, then why are you moving him around?
Yeah.
Right.
The conspiracy parts start to come out, like things don't add up and things don't make sense. But is it like a legit connection, like that Keegan Klein and Richard Allen are like buddies?
Or did Keegan Klein not have anything to do with the Wabash River search? And we were just led to believe it. And, it really was a distraction to and that they found something that helped them lead to Richard Allen. We don't know that.
I find it true. So I've always said from the start that it when the whole Keegan Klein thing, for the first time I agree with that. When the whole Keegan Klein thing came out, I honestly didn't want anything to do with it because I was like, oh my effing God. And then I was like, okay, so if he has anything to do with it, I said it has to be with something to do with the lure. Because I always felt before they even talked about a lure that I couldn't understand why the girls would have gone there without being lured somehow. Who knows? Who knows to this day? It's one of those things. Like, I'll be a monkey's uncle if he has absolutely zero to do with Delphi, with everything that has stacked on stacked and stacked to show that there was sort of some involvement. You know, the only part I ever believed was that he was a lure of some sort. Never believed he was included in the crime, as in being there. Never ever believed that whatsoever, or Tony Klein for that matter. So it was just a matter of where did Keegan Klein fall in the mix of it? You know, like, did, you know, was it Tony Klein and he was friends with, you know, Richard Allen and they met at a bar, you know, where Anna works, who knows, blah, 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 blah. So I'm just at the point that my brain is so mush because no matter how many times you dissect it, your brain's going to hurt. Doesn't matter.
True.
And the only time that we'll ever truly, hopefully know the truth is if it goes to trial properly. And then we get to see, you know, what comes out within the evidence and, or if there's something more. But at this point, I'm not seeing it. I feel like it's like, you feel like 99% of you goes, come on now. How is there not a tie to Keegan Klein and Delphi as a lure or something that's involvement? But again, I mean, Adam said he was told that Keegan Klein had nothing to do with Delphi from a higher source. So
it's not a higher source. I mean, I was told that, you know, I was told that through both through sources through the prosecution and the defense, ex-defense.
So that's it's ironic because I have heard, and I don't really have sources, I guess, but I mean, I have heard that Keegan Klein not to give up on a connection yet, and then on the other side, I've heard no, nothing to do with it, let it go.
Well, I mean, if you think about if you think about just the fact that if I were Andrew Baldwin, Brad Rosie, or Scrimmin or Librato, and you have you know different options for a way to present a defense towards your client, and you know, like we've been told, you know, you honestly believe that this person, Richard Allen, is innocent, and you know you need to present a defense as to why they're innocent. If there's a connection to the guilt of someone who's publicly been blasted throughout this case, meaning Keegan Klein, you know, Keegan Klein's name has never once come up in a motion or a legal filing by any of Richard Allen's defense attorneys. There's never
on
been
either
mention
side, though.
on either side.
Is
And
he
that's what I'm saying.
mentioned on, I was like, is he even mentioned on anything to do with the prosecution either?
You know, so I mean, when you look at that Frank's motion, when you look at the, you know, and I understand they chose to follow the Odinism angle of it, but I mean, and I know this is the same argument being made for different POIs or people, but if you know, if Keegan Klein is involved in this case and it's that evident that there's just like one little thing that we don't get, don't you think that one of his defense attorneys would have laid that out in a filing to get that Frank's hearing that they wanted or something else to get, but there's never been a mention of him.
It's true.
And not only that, they, you know, and I understand it was a different case that, you know, that Keegan Klein has been convicted on, but his entire case file has been released. You know, even the parts that pertain to you know, things that he was doing that we've talked about in the Delphi case. There's nothing about the Delphi case in his case file, but you know, I don't see any. I've never seen anybody connect him through.
There's no documented connection.
There's no
outside of that transcript conversation
towards the murders.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, was he catfishing Libby? I think that's clear. He was talking to Libby on social media, catfishing her like he was doing multiple other girls in the area.
Mm-hmm.
Is there any more connection to his involvement than that? Never anything that we've seen documented.
So here's a question. Who do you think Aaron Mole interviewed who said he was TK's friend?
Oh, I remembered, but I don't remember now. That was.
I have no idea. I don't have any idea.
I remember, but I don't. I have no idea who it
That was
be.
like at least a good year ago or something like that. I remember. So I remember because it's kind of like when somebody's trying to be anonymous, but yet they're giving information to, because they're not very, I'll say, smart in the sense of talking on true crime. So they kind of give away all these different things as they're talking. So again, I remember, but I don't remember because it's been quite a while since that. Because that was TK's friend there. That was talking a lot.
Was it really his friend? I guess that was probably be my bigger question.
Yeah,
Were they really friends?
I personally believe so from listening to the dude. Yeah.
We believe anything about anything?
Well, I don't know. I mean, Rick Snays talked to him. That guy's talked to him, and
at this point, I think it's safe to say Tony Klein might not be a great guy, but people have tried to connect him to this crime. No one's been able to do it, so I'm not gonna speculate on his involvement at this point because if it's there, we'll find out.
We'll find, yeah.
People, I don't think anyone's gonna come up with any smoking gun with Tony Klein that hasn't already been looked into.
Well, I can tell you, and this is just my thought on this, is that, people keep saying that they're waiting for like Richard Allen to like come forward and say like who this other person is or who like his accomplice was or whatnot. If his person or accomplice is somebody that has been looked into like a Tony Klein, Richard Allen saying it isn't going to change anything in my opinion.
Same.
They have enough to say that because Richard Allen isn't going to be like the smoking gun that's going to say, yeah, my bestie Tony Klein, and they don't have anything to connect him already. You know what I'm saying? Like there's nothing there. If there's nothing there already, Richard Allen coming forward saying it isn't going to change anything.
I will say, I do think that, once that, and I know people argue about when they came across Richard Allen or back across Richard Allen. I think that, once law enforcement came back across, once they zeroed in on Richard Allen, I guarantee you that they investigated thoroughly any possible links between him and any other possible question marks in this case. And, meaning like, anybody that they hadn't ever been able to fully, cancel out or whatever. And so I'm sure that, I think that Tony Klein and Keegan Klein probably stood front and center in that because I think that even after Richard Allen was arrested, that investigation into any connection between them probably was taking place in front of our eyes. Whereas I'm sure there were other investigations happening, I guarantee you they probably looked into connections between Richard Allen and possibly Ron Logan, or between even any of the people that were involved with the Odinism angle. I'm sure that they looked into those things. I hope so, at least. But I think that Tony Klein and Keegan Klein served kind of a unique role because they were so front and center in the public's peripheral as that was happening. So like when Richard Allen,
I think it kind of goes to also like some people were really, really looked at and other people aren't talked about. Like David Riley, who was at the trails that same day, nobody talks about him.
Right.
But then there's other people that are at the trails that day that get like all kinds of attention. And it's like, how did one become important and the other one not? Like, that's also very interesting how that path happens and why us as like a community don't look at everybody.
Well, there was 90 people on that. Like before I even came to Delphi, there was like 90 people on this list. And everyone had their POIs and this and that, and stuff like that. And yeah, so it's like some people got looked at like, we know that, what's his face? What's like Daniel Pearson. I mean, he was a huge one to a lot of people, about him and his girlfriend. Bottom line, I just honestly, with Delphi, I don't even know what's up and what's down anymore. It's all it's like, no matter how you try to look at it, no matter what, your brain will forever hurt. And I don't agree with someone that left a comment that say that we'll never know the truth unless Richard Allen says it. I'm going to say that I actually don't really agree with that comment because I think that once they probably found their suspect for Delphi, that, and have to go back and look at footage and all this stuff, maybe they will maybe the story will be told and we will figure out exactly what
I feel like-
happened by that information that we don't know of as yet. Because obviously there's going to be a lot of things that they had gone back to through cameras, through footage and everything to maybe perhaps map out that story about without Richard Allen confessing in a sense, but maybe they'll map that out. So that's what I'm kind of hoping for. You know, at the end of the day, however this case goes, it's going to go the way it's going to go. All I know is I refuse to hurt my brain anymore with these different rabbit holes, because they just, you'll never know the true answer, no matter how we look at it, until we get to the court and they start laying out evidence. Hopefully that happens. Now, Teresa, I know we're probably going to touch on this back, but when you have time, would like to go and talk about the whole thing that happened today, about how people feel about Richard Allen and this whole Odinism thing, that you can see that the new prosecutors, if they remain the prosecutors, are
The
obviously
defense team.
yeah. So
Yeah. All right, let me catch up on chat real quick, and then I'll pull it back up. I pulled it down because I was putting up all these comments, and they were covering Aspen's face, and I was like, I want to see Aspen's face. So I pulled down the document. So no, it's okay. I'm just giving you a hard time. Okay, so there's still a strong connection. So there are people who do think there's some type of connection. I am of the essence that I think that there's probably something that is very minuscule that puts him in the Delphi case. I don't think that he's a major contributor or a player in the actual crime itself. That's where I sit with Keegan Klein. There's a reason that I think that he was still left on the index. There's a reason that he's attached, even if it comes to he catfished an account and was talking to Libby on there. Like, even if it's that minor, there's something that they're still keeping him in the Delphi situation. Yes. That's kind of where I'm at.
Teresa, I mean, I could probably, we could do an entire live on that one comment right there. About
I know.
Because, the index to me is like the most mind-boggling thing in the world, because when you look at like and I don't want to go too deep into it because I don't want to take us off track, but when you look into like the when was that index accidentally emailed to Woodhouse?
Well, we were talking about this the other day.
Of last year? Was it April? Was it spring? Because either way, how much discovery? We've been told that Baldwin and Rosie had not received any discovery hardly in December. In April, there was a March 13th or a February 13th thing about discovery. I can't remember when the one after that was, but so any file that would have been sent, how much possible discovery was sent at that point? And I'm not making the best sense here, but
no, you are. I got you at least.
But when it comes to the things that are in that index file, the thing that people just don't they seem to forget is that Brandon Woodhouse himself said that index was altered before he sent it to Mark because he didn't trust Mark.
See, and I'm curious because I also don't trust that. I don't trust because that doesn't. Both sides they do this. Like everything I said to you was a lie, just so I could see what you said about it. And then it's like, no, everything you said was true. And there's a lot of that kind of stuff.
But that's why I went back. And that's why I went back to the dates, because the dates to me are what's important. Because
I agree with you.
Because whether it was December or the spring, that no one was claiming that the defense had a huge amount of the discovery at that point. So how much information could Woodhouse have actually been sent?
Right. So I'm hearing, or my understanding is, it's the one file. It's like we call it an index. It's kind of interchanged with what they call like the thumb drive map, but it's literally just a outline of what they were expecting to get in, and then we as the public literally have like 7 pages. I've heard that there's around 25 to 30, but that's screenshots of the one big file.
Right. And then we have a court filing saying that Woodhouse received nothing of substantial content.
Right. No pictures, there was no attachments to this. This is literally one file of an entire outline, and that's what was given. So the other thing about like it being changed is we don't know how it was sent. You know, okay, so I'm just gonna like throw out some. This is obviously just total theory or whatever you want to call it. Like if I send you a Google Drive, right? I can put you as an editor. I could put you as a viewer. So you can go in and look at it, but you couldn't change it. So we don't, and I'm not saying it was sent by Google Drive. That's why I'm saying like this is total conjecture of just my point. We don't know how this was sent to anybody. We don't know how it was sent to Woodhouse. We don't know how Woodhouse sent it to. Go ahead.
Well, I mean,
do we?
Yeah, well, it was emailed because.
Yeah, but in what form?
Hold on. Well, whichever. Right. Exactly. Because this also went to that lady that her name was something Patty within Rosie's. So it was sent to Woodhouse and this, what's her name? Something Patty at the same time. And that's how the mistake, like that's how it happened, because remember they were typing in Brad or whatever and Brandon. And so it went to that person and it went to the Patty lady. So in my head, I'm thinking, so really? So you're just going to send over, I think it's Shelby Patty. That's the name. So it went to Shelby Patty and Brandon Woodhouse is who it went to. And so if anyone's listened to the Brandon Woodhouse videos, and then, so I just can't see that Baldwin's firm is sending over, well, here's our empty files, you know, to Shelby Patty.
Remember, it was an index. It was an index file that was supposed to contain, you know, kind of like different things that they were going to then fill in once they received different parts of the discovery.
Maybe.
And it was being sent, you know, between one attorney to the other attorney's office. So it makes perfect sense that someone's office would prepare a document like this so that they, you know, but where did they get the information to even put in the outline? That's what I'm curious about. Like, because, you know, this, you know, this has been called nothing except a defense document. It's not actual discovery. This was a defense document. But what it contained is the question. I feel like the answers lie in when it was sent. And from my standpoint, it was sent at a time when no one has claimed that the defense had received any substantial amount of the discovery material, let alone enough to, you know, like actually have content for the index that we've seen.
Now
that's why I question the authenticity of the 7 pages that we have seen.
Yeah. What about the
and if
fact
I'm
that,
wrong, I'm wrong.
Yeah, well, it's one of those things, right? What the fact that
and if you're right, you're right. I mean, like nobody has a clue at this point, so you're totally. I mean, you're in the realm of a possibility.
Well, I was going to say, like, what about the fact of Baldwin going to the hospital when Brandon was in the hospital and basically wanting him to delete the information and stuff like that? I don't know. I honestly, again, I'd have to care enough, and I simply don't, because it's going to work its way out at the end of the day. You know, like I said, will we ever really find out the truth of it all for this stuff? Yeah, maybe in a day of court, because Brandon's a liar. Mark Roberts is a liar. Freaking, like, they're just everyone just a bunch of liars. So trust, like I said, so besides doing your own work and trying to figure it out yourself, who's lying and what's truthful, I couldn't be asked anymore, because, you know, whether it was even about the crime scene pics, whatever, everyone lies. Even the good people, you know, lie because they don't want to maybe say like that they had the pictures and stuff like that and whatever. All I know is that I just wanted to get to the point where January 18th happens, a decision is made. We understand who if Rosie and Baldwin get, you know, put back on the case or not, or if they leave it as vibrato and stuff like that, and then just get to the trial point. You know, that's all I'm waiting for, is that. As for this whole mess,
these are the rabbit holes that you're like, I'm not playing around in those holes anymore.
I'm not. I'm tired of them. Yeah.
This is simply what they were receiving in either a document or like a thumb drive or anything like that, as they got like the first, second, maybe third. I don't know how many batches they received, but we know they were still receiving batches after September 18th when the memorandum came out. So no matter what, we know they didn't have everything, because also in the memorandum they say they had just gotten a batch, and then they got more after.
Right.
So
Right.
I think that this is not obviously everything. Even I think that the 25, if it's 30, whatever, it's still not everything. I think this is file names. So I think what they sent was like, here's the information on Alan's vehicles. Here's what it contains. This file that they sent is empty. This file that they sent is empty. Doesn't mean that's not coming on the next one, but it's so they can organize, because
Right.
as we know from following any case, the prosecutors will send over discovery and they'll repeat it. They'll be like, nope, just send them everything again. Send them everything again. So I think this is just like their organization about files they were getting.
Right. And so in what brought the index thing even up was, we were talking about Keegan Klein, and so like any information pertaining to Keegan Klein that would have been in the discovery, it doesn't mean it doesn't mean, of course, if you're preparing this document, you would say, of course you put a Keegan Klein,
Of course,
tab in there, but does that mean that there was ever any content to go in it? No. And like Teresa said, that September, because I've thought about this quite a bit, because I try to deal with facts, and when we look at the September 18th filing, we know that there was a September 18th document or discovery dump. We don't hear anything else about discovery until October 10th, I think it is, or 11th. 10th, I think, is when the prosecution files something where they talk about, where they say that all of the discovery, to their knowledge, has been turned over, because they were trying to comply with the November 1st timeline of having all the discovery turned over. And so, we don't know between September 18th and October 10th what was turned over. There's not one mention in a legal document of discovery between September 18th and October 10th.
Oh, we know one. We know at least one. Remember, they sent over the interview with Jeffrey Turco, and they labeled it just Jeffrey Turco.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
We know one.
Yeah.
I think that's the one.
But as far as there could be incredibly damning evidence.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that there is. I'm saying
We have no idea.
Just really have no idea.
I think we're all on the same page with that. I was saying earlier, like on my live earlier, I don't think there's going to be anything earth shattering that's going to come out that we don't already know. I don't think that there's going to be a big bombshell. What I think that we're missing, or for me, I should say, because you guys know I'm not sold one way or the other yet. I really am not. But I think what they're going to do is they're going to have a lot of pieces that aren't considered bombshells by themselves, but the pieces, like, as a prosecutor, you go out there and you're essentially telling a story. You're saying, like, this is what we believe happened from A to B to C to D. And I think we may have like C, but we don't have like the A, the B, and the D. And even though those aren't like bombshells, they are going to line it up where it makes sense. And you're like, this is what, because if they don't have, let me just be very clear on my thought here. If they don't have anything else, which is, I know what like a lot of the pro-innocent, situation is, if they don't have anything else, this doesn't make sense that they feel that this is a bombshell case, that they have the right guy, that they're going to be able to do this. So I know there's something else. I just don't think it's going to be this one thing that everybody's going to go, shit, yep, that's the right guy. I think it's going to be piecemealed together, and you're going to go, yep.
I agree, Teresa, on that. That's exactly how I feel. The pieces will tell the story, and hopefully we'll understand, get a picture more of the understanding, what happened to the girls, why it happened, in a sense. And like I said, I don't think there's this big gonna blow like woo, but I think that I agree with you on that. Pieces will be all put together.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think that there's one huge bombshell that we don't know of. I feel like there absolutely are things that we as the public don't know about, evidentiary wise, as there should be. But I do think that what was I going to say?
Evidentiary wise, you
Oh,
just
well, I feel like, I feel like that's kind of evident in the charges that were brought against Richard Allen. I mean, I feel like, if you look at the way that he was charged as far as, murder in the, during the act of a felony, those charges were done so in a way that, the burden of the prosecution, they have to prove that, that Richard Allen committed the felony of kidnapping, which resulted in the girls' deaths. That can be as simple as saying all they have to do is prove that Richard Allen is the guy on the bridge, because that's what the prosecution, that's what law enforcement has alleged, is the person that the girls encountered on the bridge killed them.
right.
So if
and then he's the last one that saw them at that moment,
Yes.
and he has to be the
Right.
one that leads them that direction.
So if the
I agree.
prosecution can prove that, Richard Allen is the guy on the bridge in Libby's video, that's their burden of proof. I feel like that's different than, being able to prove motive, because they don't have to show motive.
Right.
They just have to prove that Richard Allen is the guy that, is responsible for saying down the hill, because by law, down the hill means kidnapping. They were taken from one place to another. That's it. If they can prove that, they have proved he is guilty of this crime. And whether people like it or not, those are the charges they went with. And I feel like that was very specific, because I feel like, that's what they can prove. If you believe the prosecution has evidence to prove that.
I just struggle because the whole other actors thing, and I know this is probably going to get cleaned up in trial too, but the whole other actors, are they talking about somebody else who actually partook in the crime? If they're only charging him with kidnapping that leads to the murder, are they implying that there's another killer? Are they implying that maybe it's just other bad actors who helped him get away with it for all those years? And since there's no clarity on that, and then they charge him this way, I'm like, if they had proof that he killed the girls, they would have charged him that way to get him the bigger sentence. That's my biggest problem with that. And so when this is said and done, if that's all they end up with is, I shouldn't say all because it's still a lot, but I'm just like, if they end up with a guilty verdict on the kidnapping that leads to murder, is it going to leave the door open that somebody else killed the girls and that the killer is not actually caught?
Right.
Well, I understand what you're saying, and I know that. I mean, I've talked personally to people in law enforcement, not in this case, but in law enforcement, and in prosecutors' offices. Again, not in this case, but I have talked to people that have said that you want to leave that door open in every case before you get a conviction. You never want to limit yourself, so you never want to disqualify the person that's being charged, but to limit the person being charged to being the only person involved is never a good idea. And I know that can be argued, but I've been told that multiple times by people that I know that work in law enforcement and that work. I have a couple of family members that are lawyers, and one that's in a prosecutor's office, but I've been told that by a couple of different people in the prosecution realm, that would be ill-advised to ever limit yourself when you are talking about having just charged someone with there not being the idea someone else could be involved.
But what about later on? When they're getting, we were getting so close to trial. Why didn't
then we've never heard anything else about it?
Right.
Yeah.
And they didn't upgrade the charge to being like, no, this is the guy who did it and this is what it is. And it is, I think you're right though, that this is what they believe they can prove. And it's enough to at least have that.
It's an easier burden of proof.
Right.
With essentially the same
amount of sentence. Yeah.
Okay, so let's get into what happened with this stuff today. Right. So the new attorneys come out and they essentially say they went to visit Richard Allen in Westville, which is the prison he was in before, that the Attorney General, whisks Richard Allen away in the middle of the night down to another prison without their knowledge, and that when they go down there to see Richard Allen, it's a nightmare to even get in, it's a nightmare to get there, and that he's essentially locked in a cage in a prep kitchen, like Hannibal Lecter. So, first and foremost, I have to ask you guys, what do you think about the fact that because, when the memorandum came out, and myself included, I was like, okay, this is kind of, I don't know where we're going with this. I think people had talked about it over the years, but now you have the new attorneys who are bringing it back up in their very first motion they ever file as Richard Allen's defense attorneys.
Right.
What do you think?
Do you want me to go first, Adam, or you on this?
You go ahead. I actually need to use the restroom. I'll be right back.
Okay.
Okay.
So, for some reason in my head, I give more credibility to Scremin and Liberato for some reason over Baldwin and Rosie, and I think that's to do with because of all the antics and the stuff that they have been seeping out, or I just feel like they were playing somewhat of a dirty game myself, because that's how I feel about them. I actually feel like I trust these two new lawyers more so in what they're saying. So when I read this full thing, what I wish for Richard Allen is that he be treated in the way that anyone should, regardless, meaning that his rights, just like anyone else's, should be upholded. And after reading this, I'm not a fan of how far they have to travel to the lawyers. So I probably changed my tune a bit and how I feel about being in the correctional center, or like the Wabash or the Westville. There's so many other cases too, that horrific crimes, and they're in the county jails and stuff like that. I actually feel like Richard Allen, if he wants to be in a freaking county jail, as long as they feel like they can protect him, and take care of him properly, then I feel like he should be in a county jail versus the correctional center. Now, I don't agree with how far it is. Like, that's just absurd. And again, like he's saying, like Scremin or whatever, that it's not the same, right? It's totally two different things. And again, in this one here, we see that he's being recorded when we know that that's not right. That's, prison antics or whatever, what they do versus how you would be treated in county jail. All I want is that everyone has their rights, and I feel like those should be upheld to anybody, whether you have killed 26 people, like the pig farm guy, or more. But I just feel like I want Richard Allen's rights, to be. I just want everything to be fair. That's all I ever want out of anything. Things to be fair. Was there something else that you said that I'm forgetting to answer here?
No, anything. Yeah, no, the whole thing. Because I was honestly, like, my first impression was I can't believe that right out the gate, their first motion is almost backing.
Right. Rosie and Baldwin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So I do feel like antics always come into play for sure, regardless. At the end of the day, citizens of the United States, you guys are entitled to your amendments, and I feel like those should be upheld. Now, so it was for the fact to me that Diner stepped down. He basically said, look, we can't house them over here. We don't probably want to deal with this shit. I'm stepping down. And then, he was pointed to Judge Frangol and whatever. And then she determined that, he's going to, whatever, it was going to go to Westville and stuff like that. And then, of course, he got transferred over to Wabash recently. I think it's one of those things that I think that Frangol was probably feeling like she was doing the right thing. But if he's entitled to be in a county jail and not a correctional prison, because it's two different things. Usually anyone that talks about county jails, and we've talked with people that, from that side of the tracks, like Blaine and stuff, they said that they would rather be in prison any day over a county jail for the fact of recreational time and this and that. I believe that there is some truth to what Richard Allen is saying about, because that inside of the prisons, no matter what, there's just a bunch of bullshit and corruptness going on. You know what happens. We would be silly to ever think that it's just like everybody's following the right rules and this, I don't know. I just feel like after reading this, I just feel like he probably should just be able to be transferred into Allen County or Adams. And yeah.
That was my thing too, is I don't understand when they requested for him to be moved and they said we have a spot for him to go, that jail was willing to take him. I never understood the fight against it. I think was my bigger question. Why do they care so much if he's moved? Like, if everything is copacetic and this prison's held this jail's held other prisoner or other people charged with murder, they're capable of doing it. Why did the prosecutors and law enforcement fight so hard against it? Why care?
Right.
Yeah.
And again, he is innocent until proven guilty. I mean, that's the bottom line of it. So go ahead, Adam. You were going to say.
Well, I can't really think about I can't remember every single thing because there have been so many filings and everything. But if you look back and you look at the wording that, like the Allen County, not the Allen County, what county was it that said they didn't want him, but they would take him. And then they laid out kind of like the conditions he would be in if he were moved. I can see where the court would rule it served no benefit to Richard Allen to be moved. Because I think they even talked about how he would be in a smaller cell. He would still be kept away from other people in jail.
Right.
There was even a point where I think it was April of last year, in one of the responses to the safekeeping, where Judge Gull, because Judge Gull's not the one that issued him to be put into the safekeeping order as far as the Department of Corrections is concerned. That was Judge Dieter.
With the bloodlust, like Carol just said, yeah.
Yeah. And so in April, I believe she said, she had no objection to him being moved at the discretion of the Department of Corrections. And but that was within the Department of Corrections. And when you talk about county jails, they're not, a lot of them aren't in the Department of Corrections. And
right.
I think that's where, the whole thing lies as far as the safekeeping order goes, just because, if they're tasked with keeping Richard Allen alive, what does that mean? And I think that's a very complex issue, because
I agree with you.
It could be argued, okay, he's been in the custody of the Department of Corrections now for over a year, and he's alive. So are they doing their job? Whereas if they were to move him, let's say they moved him, hypothetically, let's say they moved him to Carroll County Jail, which, Tobe Lesenby's like, nope, don't want him. Mm-hmm. But let's say they moved him to Carroll County Jail, and let's say, a week from now, God forbid, something happens, and Richard Allen is, something horrible happens to him.
Well, yeah. Mm-hmm.
They have then failed in the safekeeping order. They've not kept him alive until trial. That's what they were tasked with.
Yep.
As of this moment, he's alive. So it's a whole like mind f.
But yet he could have just been fine in jail, though. Meaning we don't know because he's never got to be in one, but he could be alive still, being in a county jail as well. I feel like still like they were just trying to do what they felt was right. I don't think there's any malice myself.
I don't think there's malice in it. I try to go off of what we read in legal documents, because everything else is conjecture. We all have opinions. I mean, like, it's easy to look at this case and be like, oh my gosh, this guy's not convicted of something. He shouldn't be in a facility where, these convicted prisoners are. But it's an entirely different situation when you look at it from the point of the fact that, he was moved to the custody of the Department of Corrections. The Department of Corrections has their own standards, their own guidelines, their own rules.
Yes.
So like when we talk about them being videotaped, we talk about him not the door, him, the attorneys being 6 feet away from all of these things. These are clearly, and I think even Scrivener Liberato mentioned it in one of these documents, that these must be Department of Corrections rules.
Procedures.
Or procedures, I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good.
Because
I think that the tough part though comes to the weird, like keeping him in chains and stuff. Like when he's talking, I get like they're like, okay, well, we have to keep him safe and so on and so forth. We have to keep the attorneys safe too. So I get
they're probably going off the guideline. They're probably going off of the procedures that they have for prisoners.
Right.
Even though those people have been convicted of a crime.
Right.
And that's where the whole argument comes into play. Is this appropriate for Richard Allen? Because he's not been convicted of anything.
Not convicted. Well, there obviously has to be somewhere that keeps, potential or suspected or indicted murderers alive till trial without having to be put in the DOC. And the other issue, and they actually bring it up in their filings that came out today, they talk about that there was no evidentiary hearing to even prove that Richard Allen wasn't safe in a jail, that he ever even needed to go to the DOC. Like, so where is the evidence that he wasn't safe? What wasn't he safe from? I get Diener. I get like they were redoing the court and he's got like 5 staff members. All that makes sense to me. For me, Diener just threw in some shit that he shouldn't have when he was like, the bloodlust and this, that, and the other. I was like, you did that. You didn't have to do that. You could have said, I got a staff of 5 and we're under construction. And what the hell am I supposed to do with this guy?
Yeah.
But he's like, and then the bloodlust. I'm like, now you just created more havoc.
But was he wrong?
My thing is, where's the proof that he wasn't safe? Because they've obviously kept other people safe before they go to trial.
Right. Absolutely. That's the point, really, that it becomes is that all these other cases, that they end up in their jails as well. So, what makes Richard Allen so different? But go ahead, Adam, you're trying to.
So if they move, so hypothetically, if they move him to a county jail where, where they, let's say they continue, they're going to have to keep him still removed from other inmates. Unless they just completely get rid of the safekeeping order. But, if they move him to a county jail with the safekeeping order in place, they're going to have to keep him, segregated from other inmates. Let's say he doesn't have any more recreation time. He doesn't have any more rights that he has now. He doesn't have the access to physical or mental healthcare that he's supposed to have within the Department of Corrections. What is it any better? And I think, are we all just waiting to see that to happen? Are we all just sitting here waiting for that to happen so that we can see if it's better?
Well, I think that the problem comes too is that everybody goes like into the mental health side or the safety side, and you're right. We don't know until it's the other way, and then shit. If he is killed, then everybody's going to be like, "See, this is why we did what we did." But then if he's not killed, then you're going to have the other side saying, "See, you should have just been there from the beginning, and what did you do?" So I mean, I understand it, but I don't understand the processes of how we even got to this point when it seems like from the beginning of everything happening, this guy did not have due process on any part of this, when they're just like, nope, we've deemed you unsafe, so you have to go, and we don't have to provide any evidence that you're not safe. And like I was saying earlier, my biggest problem was why they fight against him being moved. Like, why would you put up such a fight? And like one of their reasons was that Cass County didn't have a basketball hoop. I said this, I was like, what? You're not even letting him outside at all anyway. Who cares if Cass County has a basketball hoop? He's 5'4". Like, I don't know if that's his sport of choice.
I mean,
I'm not.
You throw in pool or karaoke. You throw in billiards or karaoke, and
hey.
But they deemed that he didn't have mental health issues. Richard Allen.
That's the other thing. So they say, well, he has to go over here because he's, suicidal and he has all these mental health issues, and they are the ones who have the means to be able to help him get through this. But if you go to the other side of it, he wasn't suicidal and didn't have any of those mental health issues until they stuck him in solitary confinement in a prison.
Right.
Well,
and they won't let go of any of the health records, so who the hell knows? I mean, if the guy did it, he's obviously got some mental health issues to begin with, but that's neither here nor there yet.
Well, the prosecution has tried to get those mental health records several times. They've been denied. Which, for everyone that says that, that's one point I was saying. For everyone that says that, that Gull has only ever sided with the prosecution, the mental health records is one example of she's not. Because she right away, she all along has said, no. You don't have access to those. But
I've never really thought like she was siding with the prosecution. I didn't really feel that way. I don't personally. I know that there are people that do. I'm just saying, like, I didn't really feel that way. I feel like there's probably so much that's happened behind the scenes that she feels just in whatever decision she made, but without going through the proper procedural sides of things. Exactly. She didn't prove any of it, and now she's stuck where she's stuck, and now all this is going to the Supreme Court when she should have just gone through the proper line of things and just made the decisions that she ultimately was going to make anyway and put it out there the way that it should have been. Whether some think that she was like, she was giving them a break by the way she asked them, that they had they had a choice to leave or not, and she was doing it for them, and other people are like, no, she was doing it for herself and the prosecutors. If she would have just done it the right way, no matter which way it was, no matter how the chips fell, this would be not nearly as a big deal as it is now.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
So, I mean, I didn't like hearing that, so Scrumman's saying like, hey, in court, in county jail, you have a room that you talk to your client in. There's no audio, there's no video, there's none of this, there's none of that. So I don't like reading the fact that they had to sit 6 feet away from this cage type thing in order to get to their client, and then have to drive, like I said, like 3.5 hours just to do it, and then go through this whole process like they have to go through. I kind of feel that Richard Allen has been robbed of some of his rights, to be honest with you.
Yeah, just his rights of his of humanity, and then his constitutional rights. I agree.
I mean, I know that the Judge Gull said that she had specifically said that that they had lied with and then they showed that picture with him in a dirty shirt, which was a shirt. I get it. Of course, anyone's gonna try to portray that image and stuff like that. She used the word lied.
We can't go either way. We don't know.
Yeah.
Because we weren't given enough information to back it up, in my opinion. Like, one side saying that he's being told he can't go take a shower, or like, do you want to go take a shower, Richard? No, you don't.
Yeah.
You don't want to take a shower. So yeah, he's asked, but then he's denied. Who knows? I have no idea the accuracy behind that, but I think there's that whole better safe than sorry scenario that we're just talking about. And if the guy looks like he's a flipping disaster, there might be a reason to have to try to figure out what's going on.
Right.
Remember, this is the first time that this has happened, that they're literally right in Indiana, that they're putting somebody in a freaking prison instead of the county
Oh.
jail. Yet there's been all these other murder cases around the world where they, that have done more horrific crimes as well, and yet they get to sit in their county jail. I don't know. I think the whole bloodlust thing really started this all, as if like as if some freaking witch hunt was going to happen, and they were all going to go into Carroll County and end his life. That's the way it came across to me. Like basically, if he ends up here, he's going to be dead. So
Yeah.
So bloodlust, blah blah blah, and then that just really sent the whole thing the way it's gone, and it just gets kookier and kookier. To be honest with you, I don't know.
So Rhonda says because he's going to be classified as an inmate, whether he's convicted or not, solitary confinement, and has the cameras and everything is going to be documented because that's the procedural, part of
corrections.
Right. Okay, so Rhonda, what you have to tell me. So, what do you think of the fact that he is in a prison when he's not convicted? Being in that field for as long as you have been, is that how normal, abnormal? What are your thoughts? So Rhonda was one that was
yes.
There's no way these guys are wearing Odin patches because that would never be allowed. And then she was like, "Whoa,
right,
holy crap!"
Right,
and there are and I'm gonna mention this, and I'm gonna put my foot in my mouth because I'm not gonna be able to remember the examples, but there are a long list of people, not necessarily in Indiana, but in high-profile cases. Which that's the caveat, that it's a high-profile case, of people that have been put into a Department of Corrections facility and not a county jail. And Scott Peterson, I believe, was one. There's, like I said, I have a whole list. I have them in my phone somewhere. But there is a whole list of inmates that, while awaiting trial, were put into state prisons to await trial.
I would love to hear I would love to hear about that.
So that we're put into state prisons, Adam?
Yes.
Okay.
And there were high profile cases. That, like I said, that's the thing that makes a difference, is that,
that's your caveat right there.
This isn't this isn't an isolated thing when it comes to high profile cases. And I apologize, like I said, for bringing that up and then not being able to provide
no, it's okay.
the examples, but I can send them to Teresa once I look them up again later tonight. I have them in a whole thing somewhere on my phone.
Yeah, I would be very curious because I look, but I'm like, you can't really, I don't really Google it. Timothy McVeigh is one that All Eyes on Delphi said.
Yeah.
Hiawatha says, I've never heard of that. Rhonda says, totally abnormal. Wardens have to sign in and visit solitary as well as shift and medical. Right? Why randomly move him to another prison while not having a hearing on the motions his lawyers have filed? So that's interesting too. But now, kind of knowing what we do with the filings from today, I'm wondering, because the new attorneys actually state that, the one of the things in the new attorney's documents today states that when they went to Westville, that the same guard who states in his affidavit that he's not Odinist, he's
heathenry.
He practices Norse pagan heathenry, is the same guard that is now still there when the new attorneys come to visit. Now, this was mind-blowing. I don't know if you guys saw this on the live earlier, but I'm going to show you guys now anyway. So they talk about that he has this tattoo on his face.
Yeah.
He got the tattoo after he was told he couldn't wear the patches anymore. And then he posted on TikTok.
Oh,
so I'm going to show you.
So he was being a little bit of a rebel about it all.
Yeah, 10/24/23. And remember, they were told to take him off on 9/22. So, because I think it's got music on it, and I'm like, I don't want to deal with any of that. So, yeah, right there. That's his new tattoo that he gets after he's not allowed to have the patches anymore. So not only is it like I'm going to get a tattoo, but I'm going to get a tattoo where you're still going to know exactly who the hell I am.
Exactly. That's exactly why he did it. Exactly. Take away the patch, but guess what? I'm going to put a tat on my face because this is my religion. This is what I follow. This is my thing. I mean, they never should have been able to wear pouches in the first place, but hey.
How is that okay?
It shouldn't be. And hopefully after this, it won't be.
Right. So they go to visit him on 11/19. The new attorneys go visit him on 11/19. And this is the same guard that is standing outside the door, essentially listening to what's being said between the attorneys and him. And
you're talking about in Westville, though, right? Like
in Westville, yeah. This is the same one. Same guard from the first memorandum. Now the new attorneys are running into the same guard who doesn't have patches, but now just has tattoos.
Right.
When you say that,
who also tased John.
And who also is the one who tased Richard Allen and states it in his affidavit.
So this is where I'm confused, because you keep saying that these are the new attorneys are the same ones that are running into this. But like, so you're talking about when the attorneys took over and he was in Westville still?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
So
okay.
When they go, I thought I had it highlighted, but maybe I got rid of it. Hold on.
Okay, because for some reason
on November 19th, the new council visited with Mr. Allen at Westville Correctional Facility. Okay. The visit was arduous process, which included lengthy travel, complicated and protracted prison security procedures, so on and so forth. It says they had him shackled. Mr. Allen remained uncomfortably and unnecessarily shackled and chained in a manner resembling Hannibal Lecter, which while guards watched through glass panels and the door ajar. Mr. Allen clearly appeared intimidated by that, which is the same thing the other attorney said, and was hesitant to speak freely with counsel. Although none of the prison guards were wearing patches in support of Odinism, one of the guards did have a symbolic face tattoo of Odin's spear and multiple hand and finger tattoos emblematic of Odinism and or Norse mythology.
Right.
The same prison guard had on his Facebook where he has a necklace where he's wearing Thor's hammer that says BRS Sarah. You know, you were talking about this earlier on yours too, the Berserker.
Yeah.
And so then while I was live earlier, then I realized, or Sluty sends me the TikTok, and I'm like, he purposely went and got that. It wasn't even something he already had. He purposely went and got it after he was told he couldn't wear patches.
Right.
And of all the guards you're going to have guarding Richard Allen when attorneys show up, you choose him?
Right. Gotcha. Yeah. Right.
Like, you'd think that you'd like purposely make sure, like, even if it's just for the perception of it, like you would be on top of the fact that this is not the guard that is now, and this guard, like how does that even make sense that this guard or Robinson are either one of them allowed to be around him if the complaint's already been filed that they were harassing him or that he feels harassed?
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just so crazy to me.
Well,
right. Well, and you know, at least in the new facility, they're not there.
No.
But you know, so, I don't think. I mean, I know the conditions of the new facility have were brought into question by the new attorneys, but the Odin thing, I don't think was of concern in this filing.
In the new prison.
The new facility, right?
Right. I messed that up at the beginning of my other live because I was thinking I wasn't comprehending that we were talking about two different people until I realized, wait, Randy Jones, and somebody's like, yeah, that's Westville, and I'm like, shit, okay. But yeah, they're talking about the conditions and that he gets kept in the kitchen.
Right.
Where they go to Wabash.
No window.
No, yeah. So there's the Wabash is the I think the no window was still Westville.
No, that was the kitchen.
I think they're probably both too. Throughout the shackled, chained, while guards watched through the glass panels and the door ajar. Okay, and then that's the Odin stuff with him, or that Norse pagan heathenry. Mr. Allen stated that the Westville guards were intimidating and reluctant to provide him. He's talking about the Westville guards again. Still, no showers, no recreational time. And then they go visit him in Wabash. They talk about how the trip is ridiculous, and they talk about they had no visitation rooms, so they put him in the prep kitchen. And I was like, why do you have a jail cell in your prep kitchen? Like, that's just so weird.
Because I think they said to feed inmates in. You know, I guess if they were.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I mean, I know I personally don't like to eat in around other people, so I would appreciate that if I made that.
You're like, I volunteer for the cage in the kitchen.
I kept thinking about Gordon Ramsay in this freaking jailed room in a kitchen or something like that. I don't know why it came to my mind. And it's for someone, just quickly, for someone that's in the chat, it's like Gugner. Basically, it's a berserker. You don't miss. The symbol that's on his face there, called Gugner, however you pronounce it.
The
Anyways,
berserker?
yeah. So he has that symbol on his face.
Yeah.
Represents Gugner. That's the term for it, whatever.
Maybe it's not an Odin tattoo.
It is an Odin tattoo.
It's a heathen. No, it's a Norse heathen tattoo. I'm pretty sure it's a binding thing, is it not?
I'll
have to look more into that. I don't want to say. I don't even know. So if you know, you feel free. But I don't know enough to say one way or the other.
It's Norse mythology or whatever. So like it's kind of like going to what they said in their affidavits, that they're not like, say, Odinists. I mean, Odinist is obviously the god, in a sense, but or practice Odinism. But they obviously are, like we said, the Norse heathen, more pagan heathenry or whatever and stuff like that. Anyways, that symbol represents Norse mythology, right. Gugnar. And bottom line is it's basically means to strike and not miss, right? That you're a berserker, like I said, is like the Tasmanian devil is the best way to describe berserker.
Okay.
For the battle axe. It just so happens, Teresa, and it's only like, it wasn't because I thought about it. My husband, when I went and sat down and had dinner with him, meaning when I first came across it, my husband, and normally I come into my room and eat my dinner and play on my computer, but I just decided I was going to sit beside my husband, and we happened to be watching this Vikings thing that he had because, he's into that stuff or whatever. And then it didn't even dawn on me that we're talking about the same shit, like Odinism, because Odin, right, of course, is the god in the thing.
Yeah.
It's like Thor.
Yeah. And yet, no, exactly. And so it didn't even dawn on me as I'm watching this for quite a few episodes. And I'm like, wait a second. Then I heard Odin, and I'm like, wait a second.
You're like, Viking, can't get away from this case.
Odin, Thor.
Where's Chris Hemsworth?
All I'm tired of, though, is in watching this Viking show, every freaking episode, there's got to be at least 8 sex scenes in it. It's like, come on now.
What show is that, Sonny?
What is it?
Vikings.
Vikings?
Just okay. Vikings?
Vikings.
Where do I watch that?
Is it streaming somewhere?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Like my husband watches. I'm not sure. I have to ask him because Ryan, his brother, sent it to him, and he watches it. I'm not sure what platform it's on that we watch it. I just always just watch him click. But let me just ask. 1 sec.
I'll do a deep dive.
Yeah, I'll do it with you. She's going to find out where it's streaming for us.
Okay. And here I'm just being naughty.
Yeah, it's okay. I'll probably end up watching it.
Same.
When the whole when the memorandum came out, I was watching Sons of Anarchy with my husband, and I was like, wait a minute. And then Patrick Westfall does the interview on YouTube, and I'm like, holy shit, he's taking people's patches, and I'm like, this is like such a big deal.
I've used Sons of Anarchy as something that I've kept in my thought process ever since the mention of motorcycle clubs came out. Even before it was like, patches and Odinism and things like that. Because I'm like, I came from Midwest, very small town, rural America, and I get the confusion that comes sometimes with, like motorcycle clubs and some of the stuff that, if you look at it on a grand scheme, can seem very nefarious. But when you look at it on a small town America, scope, a lot of these people just watch things like Sons of Anarchy and they think that, they're big time, and they're really just, small town people that are in a motorcycle group.
Yeah.
They don't know, like, same with some of the people, and I'm not defending Odinism and those kinds of things, but some people post these kind of things and they don't understand what they fully are.
It's true. It's true. And that's what I was saying too earlier. Like, I mean, I had people when the memorandum very first came out, they were talking about, like everybody's given like Odinists a bad name and Norse pagan heathenry, like this is one of the oldest religions and so on and so forth. And I'm like, for me at this point, it's not even about that. I don't believe that these guards are out there doing like sacrifices and things like that. It's about the perception of what's happening and how anybody in any type of role that has control over this would continue to allow those people, and not that they are, like I said, not that they're in there even doing any of these things, because I don't even know if they are, but come on, the perception is like, what are you doing? What are you doing? Hold on, Squeaky Bill wants to know if we raise $500, if you guys generate $500 tonight, would I get an Odinite tattoo on my left cheek? Squeaky Wheel, depending on what left cheek you're talking about.
Face or
face cheek? No.
Oh, that was towards Teresa. Yeah, she'll do it.
I'll do it. I'll get one on my other cheek, but I'm not doing it. I'm not tattooing this beautiful thing. What the hell?
Someone sent me a message that really quick when I was talking about the high-profile cases. That Scott, I mentioned Scott Peterson was kept in a state prison while he was waiting trial. A few other people were James Holmes, which was the Colorado shooter in the movie theater. Jared Lautner and Eric Rudolph were all kept in state prison while awaiting trial. Those are a couple examples.
Who's Eric Rudolph? Why does that sound familiar?
I was just going to say, actually.
Was that Eric Rudolph? Wasn't he the Atlanta? Was he the Atlanta?
He's the Olympic Park bomber. In Atlanta.
And a couple of those, of course, might have been federal, federally charged, but
well, that's a good list to start with, and go look and see if they are federally charged.
Yeah. But
by the way, my husband, so he says they watch it from a dodgy website, but so I asked him to send me the link for it for Vikings, and then he went to go send it to me on Messenger. It says you cannot send it. So it's, I don't know, it's very interesting to watch anyway, considering what this is. And as for me personally, this person just said something about quit. I wish people would quit calling it Odinism. I don't believe in this whole Odinism line or whatever bullshit anyway, myself.
And Charles Manson.
And Charles Manson, right?
That's a whole nother ball game right there. That guy.
But he was kept in state prison while he was awaiting trial.
Huh. All right. It's interesting. Rhonda says, like, I'd rather be in a state prison over a county any day.
Hey,
but
Sonny,
how do you do that with your attorneys if this is the setup that you have?
Sonny and I have heard that personally by a very good friend of ours that we had that has been in both. And we've talked about that in the past, but we have a very good friend that has now passed away, but that said, if ever given a choice, state prison is the way to go.
Yeah, over county.
That was his experience.
Yeah, he was. Yeah, he was. So he's the one that actually was talking to us about runes and that, and Blaine, when we were looking into like gangs and different stuff. Because Blaine was from the total opposite side of the track. He was a gangbanger, whatever you guys call them nowadays and stuff like that. We were talking about Odinism because of Odinism being brought up in the Delphi case. This was before the defense had come in with this whole Odinism thing. And he was talking about the runes and different things. It's very interesting to learn from someone that, in a sense, knows a lot more about these whatever you want to call it, different cultures, however you want to, pat it nicely and say all these different, I don't know.
Right. And he was talking about his experience, of course, post-conviction. But he said, and, his cousin actually agreed, that if you were to pick what's better, prison or jail,
Yeah.
prison any day. And that was their opinions, not ours, because we don't know. 'Cause neither of us have been to
I've
either.
never been to either one.
I don't think Sonny's been
Exactly.
to either. I've never been to either.
But the thing is that when it's literally coming out of their mouths, Adam, like their own mouths that have spent time in prison, or the county jail, and that's why I probably think, Adam, is why I always felt that the judge was doing what they thought was best for Richard Allen, was because in my head, I was thinking about what Blaine said and Andrew said about county jail versus prison. And at least in prison, you got recreation time. Granted, he's in solitary confinement, but whatever.
Is the difference. So his experience was different than, of course, theirs is going to be. But, for anyone that doesn't know either, Blaine was Flint Farmer's nephew, who is getting ready to go on trial for the homicide of Karina McClurkin, who a lot of people that have followed Delphi have heard about that case as well. But we became friends with Blaine during
that case,
during, looking into Karina McClurkin's case.
Yeah.
And after his uncle was arrested, we ended up interviewing him and then became friends with him.
Yeah, great guy. Big Red. Miss him. He died of an overdose last year. Miss him so much. It was like, when you have a panel and you have your defense lawyers, attorneys, whatever.
That name sounds very familiar to me.
Yeah. Well, again, he was for the only reason why he that you would know about him was because mostly of our channel, if you did, because it was just the fact that he had emailed me because we first had on Flint Farmer's son, and then Blaine had emailed asking if he could kind of come on and have a voice, and then him and Jerry, which is the grandmother of of Karina McClurkin that was murdered. They were having a beautiful moment on our live stream, and Blaine, granted, definitely a pass, but he was such a jovial dude, Big Red, But anyways, he brought a lot of insight to people like us who have no freaking clue what it's like to spend time in prison or in a county jail.
But we spent a lot of time talking about about runes with him.
Yeah.
This was before, of course, any of this stuff came out. But I mean, we went through so many different
he was educating
runes with him and talked about the different signs and which ones symbolized what, and for a different reason at the time. But we looked at a lot of different Germanic runes with him, and got his opinion on all of them. And we even talked about the Sons of Odin and different groups in that area of Indiana at the time, motorcycle groups, white supremacy groups.
Very, very knowledgeable. I mean, because he was what was
little did we know we needed to be really paying attention.
You really did. You were like
follow up on it a year later.
Go back and see what Blaine said.
I think he was it. What did he say he was? Like a general for vice lords. The vice lords, something like that. Whatever the title was, he was like
I can't remember the title, but it was vice lords, which was an offshoot of Sons of Odin. And then some of these, one of our understandings of one of the was we thought it was a white supremacy thing, and it was really in prison. It was more of a black led group, and I can't remember the specifics, but that was it. That was an opening into that world that I had never had before, and I was really fascinated by it.
Did he ever say he was in solitary or anything? Did he ever talk about that? Because I think that's another big thing is the fact that he's in solitary confinement. He's essentially locked up all day or the majority of the day.
That's a huge difference. Is that we were talking about Blaine's experience or his cousin's Andrew's experience, and other people I've talked to's experiences, and that's going to be different than someone that's being held in solitary 24 hours a day. Blaine and his cousin Andrew had both been in solitary confinement, but not for overly extended periods of time. So that, of course, is going to change your opinion as well. But
yeah, because that's what I'm wondering too. Is like, like, and I'll ask Rhonda that too, because she mentioned in chat, that she would rather be in a state prison versus like a county jail. But would you rather be in solitary in a state prison versus in county jail?
Right.
Probably be the bigger question.
But if you're in solitary, does it matter if you're in a county jail or in prison? Because either way, you're still in a room with no interaction with other people.
It's true. Yeah, I don't know.
I think he should be in solitary. I think Gambies said object to him being in solitary. I'm not sure if that means like, do we object, or I don't object to him being there. That's where he should be, or else he would be dead. But I'm not sure if that's what she was meaning.
I do think it's interesting the amount of time the guy has been in solitary, and then thinking about the fact that he's in solitary for that amount of time and not convicted of a crime.
Right.
So I'm very curious about some of those things.
Again, hence the safekeeping order, because
Well, he definitely shouldn't be out with regular population.
But so how do you
like, he'd be dead.
But again, how do you fulfill both of those? How do you have him be safe yet be in general pop?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying one way is right or one way is wrong. I'm genuinely curious. How does someone solve that answer if he's put into a protective order to be kept safe by the Department of Corrections? How does someone fulfill both of those things?
Yeah.
How do they keep him safe?
We have to probably look into other people or other potential murder suspects that have been arrested and that have had a safekeeping order, and what was done for or to them during that time.
Right.
Because I don't know that answer. I have no idea. They want me. I'm going to put up a poll.
A poll?
Yeah.
Do. And then you throw in the high profile aspect of it. So that, Sorry.
What should I ask? What do you guys want the poll to be here? Because I know that they're talking about, like, do we think that he's like, do we think that it's inhumane? Do we think his constitutional rights are being violated? What are we looking at?
Like Garrett Kurtz said. Oh, for the poll.
Yeah, real quick before we go back to that.
Yeah. How to word it? You mean?
Yeah, well, because that's what they're wanting in chat. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how do they?
Well, I don't know. It seems to be a thought that people are like, should he be in solitary confinement still, or should he be in solitary confinement at all? So, just like Garrett Kurtz said, I don't want to have anything to do with Delphi, because we all know what happens to people with anything to do with kids. I believe absolutely he would be dead. I totally disagree on that one. Sorry, it's just my opinion, of course. Gambias, I'm not sure how to pronounce your name. But do you guys believe he would be dead? I do. I mean, anything to do with child killers, they. I think we know this enough that anything to do with children, you're basically.
I don't know. Freaking Chris Watts is still alive.
Hey.
I mean, and shoot, BTK, one of his first victims was a child, and that guy's still out there. I mean, still alive out there. I don't know. I just don't know if that's even like a thing anymore. I feel like they're probably definitely looked at very differently, and probably have to be kept in a separate place, probably altogether. I don't know why we don't just have. I mean, if that's what they're going to do, like, just make a prison and put them all together, then they can't. What are they going to do to each other? Or stick them in the prison that has whatever. I'm not going to go that far. I'll leave that alone. Okay, so I put the poll up, and so go ahead.
Well, we've seen what happens with Chris Watts when he's put around other inmates.
Well, he buys them lube.
Yeah.
When he just takes theirs, or.
No, he bought it for him. He bought him the lube. He bought him lotion. He bought him petroleum jelly. He bought him Vaseline. And then the guy was caught with Chris Watts' underwear. And then they tried to say it's because he doesn't have any underwear. And it's like, no, their prison issues you a certain amount of underwear. So you do have underwear. And they know it was his underwear because it had his name in it.
I don't know anything about that, but I'm laughing because I have no clue about this whole Lube and Chris. So Chris Watts case for me, I'd already known about the Chris Watts case, and then I remember when it came out, like maybe it was because of the girlfriend or something.
Mhm.
Because all I could think about is why is this guy? Why is this whole case thing being brought up again? You know, because like it's like I already knew about the Chris Watts case, so I didn't try to even understand why all of a sudden all this stuff was resurfacing again with the Chris Watts, and then you know, then it's kind of
What
like,
do you mean?
okay.
What do you mean again?
Well, just
'Cause
meaning like,
it never left.
well, meaning it's like the Chris Watts thing. I remember I knew about the story, you know, and everything like that was going on. And then I just remember going, it was almost like knowing about it, knowing that the whole Chris Watts thing happened, blah, blah, blah. And then all of a sudden it was like it was to me resurfacing because and it just felt like it was taking over the internet. And I'm like, why is this case getting so big?
I wonder when did you see that it was getting taken over again? I wonder if it's after the Netflix documentary, because that was I mean, we had just an influx.
It was around that time or something. Yeah.
Yeah, because the Lube thing is a couple of years old at this point.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I haven't talked about the Chris Watts case publicly, and I couldn't even tell you how long. I hate that guy so much.
It was right around that time that you're speaking of. Now that I remember, something about this Netflix thing. See,
well, that's the same. Like, so if you go through, like, you have like your Delphi phases of when people started following the case and what like attracted them to it.
Such a piece of shit. Like,
which one? Chris Watts? Yeah, he's a piece of shit.
Like, I would not cover his case whatsoever because I could not stand looking at his smug mug as he stood there with his arms crossed going, I just want her to come home, and he smirk. And just what he did, like, meaning unfathomable, put your kids down a freaking oil thing and whatever. And I just was so disgusted in looking at him. I couldn't even touch that case if I wanted to. And I hate even saying his name, to be honest, because he's just.
I do. Watts gives me like the vomit reflex.
Yeah, I honestly.
Look at, hey Shmita, everybody, make sure you guys wish Shmita a happy birthday. It's her birthday.
Is it Shmita? Happy birthday.
Shmita.
Oh, Cheetah.
Shmita.
I know Watts. I can give you the date. My first true crime case I followed on YouTube during COVID lockdown. I followed Chris Watts from the day that Shanann went missing, and he did an interview on TV, standing there with his arms crossed.
Yeah.
And that moment on, I was
wearing a Tar Heels t-shirt.
Yeah, that was it for me. I have requested everything I possibly could about that case from any agency that would possibly give it to me. And so I think the thing that kept me so involved or invested in it was his mistress.
Nicole.
Well, yeah.
Oh gosh.
I barely paid attention. Like, I mean, I knew little tidbits of it. And I know it was one of those cases that launches channels, kind of like, Idaho case and stuff. There's certain cases out there that just launch channels, right?
Yep.
I mean, Cavalcante launched JLR from 30K to over 100K just off that case. That was great. That was great boots on the ground, by the way. I love that. I love boots on the ground. Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
And so, but anyways, there's certain cases like Chris Watts that just launch channels, and I just didn't want to be part of it. But then again, I was just getting into true crime at that point, and I was just like I said, he just makes me want to vomit. Like you said, actually, just looking at the guy, such a smug. When they just stand there and blatantly are lying.
And you know they're lying. And you know they're lying. It's like, stop doing it. Shmita, it's your birthday. You're not supposed to be gifting anything. And thank you very much for the 5 memberships. You guys, I know we've been on for 2.5 hours. If at any point you're like, okay, we gotta, I know. It's just so
I'm good. Whenever you like,
so I'm good for a little while longer if you guys want to. What's up to you guys though?
Adams might be different, but I mean, I'm good.
I'm okay.
Yeah. No, just enjoying the live with you.
Yeah.
Aw, wouldn't want to spend my birthday with better people.
Yeah. That's very kind of you, Shmita, to donate on your birthday.
Do you want to know a little before we go off Chris Watts? Do you want to know something really quickly? Yes. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina. back in 2000 and back in 2004, 2005, I moved to North Carolina from the Midwest, and the town that I moved to, because my brother lived there, was named Mooresville, North Carolina. Is named Mooresville, North Carolina. And I lived there for a couple of years when I first moved here. Chris Watts lived in Mooresville, North Carolina, because he went to the NASCAR Institute for Technology when he had dreams of being on a NASCAR pit crew.
Yep.
And he lived about a block and a half from where I lived. And I cannot prove this, but to this day, I maintain that I remember meeting Chris Watts. So.
Do you?
So crazy.
I don't know if I believe that story, Adam.
Yeah,
I don't know.
And maybe
It's true or it didn't happen.
And maybe it might not have, but
Yeah,
you know,
I get it.
But I do know the facts of him living about a block and a half away from where I lived at the same time are true, and
yeah,
and I have other memories that point towards it being true. But either way, yeah, he lived in Mooresville, North Carolina, because he wanted to be on a NASCAR pit crew.
He did.
And went to the NASCAR Institute. So,
So Mrs. Depp wants to know if your spidey senses went off when you met him.
well, no, they didn't.
No. Did any senses go off?
Yeah.
No.
Now,
No.
Teresa, my claim to fame here is that my last name, I'll say one of my last names is Blanchard. So I'm convinced.
Got a few.
So yeah. So I remember
Any
going
relation?
back. Well, that's the thing. I went back to 1460 on the name Blanchard. There's two Blanchard lines that come down, but they come from like France and then come over to England and blah, 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 blah. And then over to the United States, and the United States comes over to England. So, when you're backtracking, but I just kind of went straight up the line to 1460. I was like, oh, that's where my middle name comes from. You see it all the way up the freaking line. But it was, so yeah. So part of me is going, Gypsy?
Yeah.
Are we?
Anything?
I don't know.
You gotta find out.
Well, the thing was is that I did that line, and it was on, I think it was on My Heritage or something like that. And it was one of those things, like, I don't even know where that line is, because I spent a lot of time to get there. It actually didn't take that long, but I didn't veer off. But in my head...
That's actually pretty impressive, too, that you didn't veer off.
Well, I kind of feel like we're about 15 cousins once removed type of thing, probably.
Oh,
is what,
that's like me and Princess Diana.
Yeah, so...
Aww.
But but yeah, so when I keep seeing the name, because Blanchard to me was always my favorite last name. It's my mom's maiden name. It's my grandma's name. My twin sister, her name is like Tanya Blanchard, Paula Blanchard, blah, blah. But, Paula screwed up on my birth certificate when it was Blanchard, and she put it as Brown, and my mom was pissed off because she didn't want us to use our dad's name, our real dad's name. But anyway, so I just ended up, when I was banking, and I'd always go Blanchard and Brown, so it was always confusing because I didn't want to be Brown. I wanted to be the Blanchard, and I had it like that until Paula screwed me over. But anyways, yeah. And then the other thing, can I just say one thing? Because tomorrow we're going to be doing the Canadian True Crime with Charmaine, and me and my husband went to the Robert Picton farm. So I'm not sure.
That's right.
That's the one with Robert Picton, the pig farmer, right? 26 murders in that one.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so me and my husband went there the other day. Coldest day, I swear to God, that happened. All of a sudden, my phone literally died because iPhones suck in the cold. But anyways, it's literally like my hands were like, I was an idiot because I should have worn gloves, but it's usually not that cold. Anyways, I'm sitting there filming. All of a sudden, I'm like, wait, my phone just turned off. Wait, what? Right? But anyways, I got back to the vehicle. My hands, for like 10 minutes, they're sitting in front of the heater, and they are so painfully cold. I'm like, do I got frostbite? Oh, my God. But anyways,
I don't want to be cold like that ever. I hate cold like that.
I know, but that one was only like 20 minutes away from me. So that's one of the big cases in Canada, was that one. And so it was my first YouTube crime venture to boots on the ground.
Well, you got to figure out if you're actually related to Gypsy.
Yeah.
You have to, well, it would be through her dad then, so you'd have to go
her dad.
figuring it out.
Correct.
Did you do a DNA test?
I've never
You
done
should
that.
do it now.
Because that would give you so much access to your family.
I
You know,
would like to do
because
that.
I absolutely love genealogy. It's one of my
Same.
favorite things to do. And like cases that I follow,
Yeah.
I have a huge Watts family tree. I have a Delphi family tree, or wreath, because some of it kind of just goes in circle.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I love genealogy.
I keep saying I'm going to get it done, and I totally always forget about it. Because I know that a lot of part of me is like German and French and whatever, but I also know that family's from England. So I keep telling my husband, who is from England, and I think I'm more British than you are, actually.
Never
I'm
know.
not, but
Mrs. Depp wants to know if you met Chris Watts at the gym.
Wait, I'm gonna Miss Depp should know that I don't go to the gym.
that's a good one.
And I know Miss Depp, so I'm hoping that I hope that she's joking.
Well,
Yeah.
that's great, because he liked to go to the gym
Adam,
or work out at home.
if you did,
It wasn't a sauna, that's
were
for
you
sure.
bending over? That's all I want to know.
Jesus.
No, Adam in the gym. That's a good
All right.
one.
Well, you have one. You have another story though of somebody else.
Oh yes, his other one.
Yeah.
Well,
Brian Walsh.
Yeah.
I was at a party. Well, I didn't know that until after Brian Walsh had been until that had been arrested, and it popped up on my time hop from like how many years prior was it, Sonny? I can't remember now. It was like 2011. There was a party I was at over New Year's. No, not over. It was not New Year's. It was, I can't remember when it was. September of 2011, I believe. I was at a party in New York because I used to go there for. I do hair for a living, and I used to go there for Fashion Week quite a bit, and Fashion Week's usually in September. I was at a party, and I came across a picture, and I sent it to Sunny, and I was like, "Is that Brian Walsh?" And she was like, "Yeah." And I was like, "Why do I have this picture?"
it's so crazy, isn't it?
It's just
Brian Walsh.
and a
Do you
woman.
have the jaw?
No, he was thinner then.
Yeah.
Yeah,
My
It's
friend,
so
my
crazy.
malicious intent says that he looks like he swallowed his shoe sideways.
I
Well,
know,
I used to
right?
call him. I used to.
Leonard.
When that happened, I was like, "Oh, he looks like the penguin from
I was
from."
like,
But yeah, I have no recollection of ever meeting him. I picture of him on my phone.
yeah. Then he ends up in a
with the
photo.
time with and his and I've got the metadata or whatever. But yeah, I don't. I was like, do I call these people close to me?
Do I tell everybody? Should I post it on Facebook?
No, I would never. But I told Sunny, and I was like, "Here," I was like, "What is this?"
I know. It's
I
just
was like,
how
Brian
crazy
Walsh?
is that? That Adam has a picture with Brian Walsh in the background there as he's taking a picture at a party. Like those are just
Look how crazy that is.
I know, right?
Yeah, her last name was Blanchard, Georgia Jakes.
Yeah.
Okay, hold on. So Carlos Marcello, that name sounds familiar. Unindicted co-conspirator says
I don't know that name.
Carlos Marcello. Why does that sound familiar? I'm gonna look it up real quick.
I don't know that name myself.
He's an Italian criminal.
Ooh.
He was crime boss in the New Orleans crime family. Is that the Carlos Marcello? Oh, I should ask my husband. I can't remember. His grandpa.
I like that name though. Indicted
Carlos Marcello?
co-conspirator. No,
Oh,
indicted
the
co-conspirator.
That's a good name. His grandpa, Mickey. He always wore a hat. I can't remember his dang name.
You talking about your husband's grandpa?
My husband's grandpa was friends with Mickey.
Oh.
I want to say Mickey Cohen, but I don't know if that name's just coming to me for other Delphi bullshit.
Is that Mark's grandpa?
Yeah.
Well, fuck, I hope not.
I'm kidding.
I'm gonna have to build a whole new family tree now, Adam. Like you're making this bigger than it was. No, so my husband has all the hat. Probably, my husband has all of his hats.
Oh.
I'm gonna have to ask. I can't remember the damn name.
Yeah. You look like you were about to yell him, husband. like I do.
Yeah, I was. He's not gonna be able to hear me, so then I'm just gonna end up screaming at you guys. Brian Walsh is the one who is he's been
And I shouldn't
arrested for killing his wife Anna Walsh.
He's awaiting trial.
Yeah, that's it. Was basically, I think it was January 4th.
Well, no, the last time she was seen was
January 1st.
Or early morning, January 1st.
Yeah.
Here, I'll show you.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can pull it up real quick because I have that under.
And so, yeah, he was trying to sell off those Warhol paintings and shit. So, meaning he was already a big scammer, piece of crap.
Mr. Depp, you probably heard of him because he was Googling like ways to dispose of his wife's body on his little boy's iPad. I mean, he's especially a nasty piece of work.
And he's very unattractive. I don't even know how he got her.
No, right?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me show you.
And when he turns sideways, it's like a big ski slope happens.
My trial list.
It's long this year.
Organized and crap.
It is long. Squeaky Wheel, thank you for the $33 super chat. Thanks for both your lives.
Tell us why $33.
I was going to say, are you going to tell him, Christine? I'm not going to tell him. I'm not going to tell him who you're related to because then it'll be all public and everything. I'll tell him privately, but I won't tell him.
There's Dylan Rounds.
Yeah, Dylan Rounds.
I haven't looked into that case in a while.
There you go. There's Brian Walsh for you.
There's Brian Walsh.
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, he does look
That's a good picture of him.
Yeah.
That's the one that my friend was like, he looks like he swallowed a shoe sideways.
Yeah. I mean, and like I said, from the side, it's like a ski slope that's going off. The snow's there. And it's just the way he stands, too. It's with such arrogance, dude.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah, like when he stands, he's always like,
pompous.
It's like he's looking down at people, you know? But anyways, yeah. So that's the person that was in the picture with Adam took a.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this one's actually, I actually had to take some off of the list because they aren't.
Courtney? Okay.
Oh yeah, Courtney Clenny. Did you see the new video of her fight?
Oh, yes.
Another freaking, I don't even. She's a disaster. But so, what was I gonna say? Oh, because like I had for last year for 2023, like I had Stacy and Sarah Wandra on here for like Michael Vaughn. And then they dropped any charges that had anything to do with Michael Vaughn, so I don't have that. I don't have Oakley Carlson on here. Like, there's so many that I had to like take off because they're not actually charged with them, like with anything to do with the actual case.
Right.
And so it's frustrating because I hated deleting them. I'm like, these guys deserve justice just as much as the rest. But I'm like, it's called. I had to console myself. I'm like having this conversation. I'm like, it's called a trial watch. They don't have a trial. We can't have it on there. I have to delete it. And I'm like, I don't want to delete it.
Adam, you know how organized we are on our channel. Yeah. So you know that these type of things don't exist because we just can't.
Well, no, we have these lists, but I mean, like with like with Michael Vaughn, it's important to remember that hopefully just because there's not a trial date that doesn't mean that there won't be. It just means that justice is important. Just like Suzanne Morphew, they made an arrest in that case. They thought they could bring it to trial. They decided they couldn't. They dropped the charges so that someday they might be able to.
Which one?
And I hope that.
Which case? Suzanne Morphew.
Yeah, I hated having to delete Suzanne Morphew too. That was last year. I had to delete her off the list because.
But like with Michael Vaughn, I hope that I hope that's a similar case where that someday they get to, they have the evidence that they can to charge the person responsible.
Yeah, Christine G says my brother-in-law knew Scott Peterson at San Quentin.
Oh.
Okay, so Scott Peterson, you brought it up earlier, so I'm going to bring it up now. And Christine and I have gone rounds about this case for years. Guilty or not?
Scott Peterson?
Oh.
Yeah.
Guilty.
Really?
Oh, you think?
Do you buy that? Do you buy the sister-in-law's claims?
Go ahead.
Okay, so this is going to take me kind of around the whole Richard Allen stuff. I do not believe that Scott Peterson got a fair trial at all.
That could be.
So my first thing with it is I think that he needs a new trial. I think that's my premise. I do think there is the possibility that he is not guilty.
Don't say it. Oh,
I do. I know. No, I'm telling you. I know.
right.
Look at everybody.
What was the outcome of all of that?
It's okay to be wrong. It's
But
okay.
what was the outcome of that whole thing with the juror, the redhead? What was the outcome of all of that? Is he gonna get a new trial? I can't remember.
No, so that part went away. Hold on, I'll pull it up real quick. That part went. They dismissed all of that.
They did dismiss all of it because I'm thinking of the redhead that was like the.
Oh yeah, the firecracker lady.
Yeah.
Yeah. So last, let me see if there's the update.
Okay, 1 second for me, please.
They were taking it to. I think I don't want to say the wrong thing because I don't. There was another appellate process to go through that they had submitted, I think, at the end of last year, or maybe it was the beginning of 2023.
Okay.
Something I don't want to say one way or the other because I don't exactly remember. But I know they had one more big appellate push. That's not the right one. I wanted to find his sister's page, or his sister-in-law's page. So yeah, I know. I do. I think that there's a chance that he didn't do it. I think there's so much that was missing with all the people who saw somebody, walking the dog. There's just so. Okay, hold on, Dietz. What do you think? You think he's guilty? Not guilty?
Can you not see the hand raised? That's guilty. That's guilty, right, Dietz?
Well, I don't know. Maybe she raised her hand. Maybe she raised her hand after I said not guilty.
Is that universal guilty?
Dietz, yeah, that's a universal. Or it's a high.
Can't be.
Come on, Dietz.
I'm never raising my hand again. Unless it's for Brian Koberger and Casey Anthony.
She's agreeing with you. All right, Dietz. That's it. Off Twitter. No,
not guilty.
Wait,
not guilty.
Who loves Criminality's channel?
Oh, that's it. You're guilty of it. You guys are so guilty. Hold on. I do agree that he did not get a fair trial, but I am on the side of him being guilty. But I can understand how people feel about the case because I also feel that way. Oh, okay. I was just bringing up one of my other favorite cases, Todd Mullis.
Can I say really quickly? What I will say about any case, any case, any defendant, any convicted person, the evidence against them should be able to be held up against any argument or any evidence. So, if there are people that think that Scott Peterson is innocent and that he deserves a new trial, the evidence that convicted him should be able to be held up to scrutiny. And if it's found to be that that it wasn't correct or it's not fair, he absolutely should be granted the opportunity to have that wrong righted.
I agree.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're so measured tonight, Aspen. You're so measured.
Yeah, he's so measured.
He was saying his wife was dead before she was to Amber. He was on his boat where the body was found. But yeah, so I could do a whole thing on Scott Peterson on how they went out there and they proved that there's no way that there was the possibility of a body being on that boat. And then you've got the other ones who are like, nope, I totally saw him and he was out here and he was being all weird. And then you've got the ones who are like, nope, I would have seen him put a body in the boat if there was a body in the boat. Right. There's so much back and forth.
So this is not an educated thing that I'm going to say, but the one thing that I remember, because it's been a long time since I looked into the Scott Peterson case, which oddly enough, Connor would be like 21 years old now. Isn't that insane?
Yeah.
Or 22 or 3, which is insane. If Connor had lived, he'd be like 21 years old.
I know.
But the one thing that I took pause at is that when the argument was made that Scott Peterson took the body out on this little boat with the concrete weights, that how could he possibly get Lacey's body into the water with the concrete weights and not flip the little fishing boat? That always stood out to me. And I know it's been proven by investigators that it could be done, but just common sense wise, I was like, yeah, that makes me think, But
well, it's
like I
also
said,
a big problem that they went publicly, like law enforcement went publicly and laid out
where they
what
were searching
Scott Peterson's alibi was.
and where it was, where his alibi was.
Yeah. What? So now I'm like, oh, okay, that makes, I mean, talk about the possibilities
Right.
there. But I know that there's people that are
I'm
totally.
not jumping on that bandwagon, but that's
I
the only
think there's a
thing I
chance.
can think.
I'm saying there's a chance. Okay.
And just quickly,
Agreed.
Charmaine, she's sitting in minus 40 degree weather right now in Calgary because someone just had a cold front was coming in for their.
That's Celsius, right?
Hey, well, I'm not sure where Squeaky Wheel's from. I'm not sure if it's United States or Canada, but so I'm thinking Canada. Has to be Canada. If he's saying temperatures will be minus 40 degrees, yeah, definitely Canada.
Well, that's got to be Celsius.
Yeah. Otherwise,
Yeah,
I think they'd all be frozen.
Yeah, they definitely couldn't be. So, yeah, fellow Canadian must be. All right. Okay. So anyway,
Okay. Karen Reed.
I don't pay attention to that case. I don't know about it, or I probably might, but I still haven't ventured to look at it, so I don't know.
It's a wild case, but as far as guilty, not guilty, I don't know. I don't know enough about it.
Guilty.
So, okay, they don't know enough about that one. So I personally am not sold one way or the other. I haven't read all the documents, but I think that it's very interesting that from what I have seen, there's the YouTube personality who legit has like more charges than she does at this point for defending her. That's just crazy. Okay, let me see another case. What else were they talking about? There's another one in here I saw.
Oh, have you been following the Troconis, or how do you ever you say that?
Oh, Michelle Troconis? Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I have to finish the one. I have to finish the hearing from today.
I heard it was a shit show. The docket said he's like, what a waste of 8 hours. So.
Oh really?
Yeah, he's like, because I asked him how did it go today, because I know he's following the case, and I was actually watching some videos about it because I didn't actually. I remember like seeing about the case, but I didn't know about the case, and so I was watching some videos to catch up, type of thing. But he was asked, so I said, "How did today go?" And he's like, "A shit show. That's basically a waste of 8 hours." So I haven't watched anything on it today myself. So
yeah, I'm gonna probably do a live over the weekend to recap the first couple of days. That was a big case that I followed. You want to know what we know? Have a good night. You want to know what we know? What's wrong? What's wrong?
I know. I will say quickly while Teresa's doing that. I know that a good friend of mine that's covered the Karen Reed case is the Inquisitor, and I'm not sure how far back it is, but I'm pretty sure the Inquisitor did a good video on Karen Reed.
Okay, and as for Deets, I thank you for reminding me about that treehouse one, because I want to go see what that one's about. Sometimes it's like you see a lot of cases, but you don't necessarily follow them. So I'd have to actually go look at that case, or look at it to see if it's a case that I'm actually kind of aware of. But I like it when they give them like different titles, like they do, like Taking Care of Maya, or the Treehouse Killer, or stuff like that. But so it's one that I personally want to look at myself on there. Minus 40 Celsius is the same as minus 40. No. Wait, Lola, what are you talking about? Minus 40 Celsius is the same as minus 40 Fahrenheit? Is it? Is this like a trick question there? Because that's not the same. Hey, Siri, what's minus 40 Celsius in Fahrenheit?
Minus 40 degrees Celsius is minus 40 degrees Fahrenheit.
Shit, she's right. Lola,
What?
I thought you were like bullshitting me on this. Maybe is that the lowest you can kind of go? Like, is there like that spectrum where it's just like, that's the cutoff?
Okay.
Yeah. Was an adult.
They didn't teach me that in college.
Yeah, I'm not.
I didn't know that. I didn't know about the Celsius thing. Okay. So, oh yeah, Natalia Grace. Did you guys watch that at all?
I haven't watched it, but I know the case. Yeah.
I don't.
You think that she was an adult, or you think that she was a child?
I don't know.
A lot of people who thought she was an adult feel like they've changed their minds since her documentary came out.
What's the
Well,
story
yeah, which
about
makes
that
sense.
one?
So she was the orphan that was adopted by the couple, and they started to think that she was actually an adult and not a child, and that they'd been conned, and had to do with. There's so much to it. It's like the adopted parents ended up getting a divorce, and it's just been a nightmare. What they ended up doing was taking her and getting an apartment and just putting her in the apartment. Whether somebody in chat's going to know better than me because they've already watched the documentary and I haven't finished it. So, but she was like 9 at the time, or she was like 22, depending on which side you believe. I've always thought she was an adult, but I know people are like, you have to watch the newest documentary and then you're going to see that she was actually a child. DNA has proven she was a child. I have such an issue with this. I know that DNA is able to tell that there is a way that DNA can tell the age based on certain things. But let me just put this out there into the true crime world. If DNA could tell you the age of a person, then why aren't their ages attached to all the unknown DNA samples that are in the database for law enforcement? They'd say this is a 20-year-old so-and-so.
Gotcha. Okay.
It's developing, it's coming, and there's things like that, like the phenotyping and so on and so forth. There's definitely things that happen, but yeah, like I said, everybody's telling me now that I have to watch this and that it proves that she was a child, and so I'm not there yet. I haven't watched it, so I know that tons of people are like, wait a minute. But they had went to all kinds of doctors and back and forth, and it was very crazy.
Okay, so as it stands, it's determined that this person was a child, according to DNA.
I think it doesn't matter now because she's an adult regardless, and she'd already been. So another couple who knew that she was left in this apartment ended up adopting her and taking care of her and raising her as like one of their own, because they believed that she was a child. So I don't know what streaming service it's on. You'd have to probably look it up. It's like
I'm not sure.
Netflix or a Hulu. It's one of them.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I know what you're talking about, though. Yeah.
So I don't know. Not true crime. I think that's pretty true crime where you just abandon your child and and just get her an apartment and just say no. Sorry, she's an adult.
Right.
I like that. I think.
Digital. Hold on. Digital asked something I think about Delphi. Hold on. Digital. What did you ask about Delphi? I guess I'm too emotional tonight. Need to stop chatting. Gold sealed the evidence that was attached to today's request to move RA. We went through it, Digital. It was the affidavit.
Right.
We went through it.
Wait.
I know that Sunny read the whole thing on her channel. I read the whole thing earlier on my channel too.
Right.
Go ahead.
And which I will mention that they spelled affidavit wrong.
I know. Yeah. Adam said that to me. It's like
I hope everyone noticed that because they did.
You're
lawyers and you spelled affidavit wrong.
I know. I mean that one so I was rushing, so it's like it went right by me, and then Adam's like, they spelled affidavit wrong, and I went back to it. And I'm like, oh my God, how many times do we read these documents? But that's a huge one. How did the big, like the red line not pop up and they didn't see that it was, totally spelt wrong? But
there's a few things in there. Well, that's how I felt about the Franks memo. I was like,
I know.
People were like, this is like the most absurd memo. I'm like, there's the most typos in this. It's frustrating. As a legal document, there's so many typos.
The fact that they put an apostrophe in Franks.
It's his memorandum.
Right.
It's his memorandum.
Right.
Franks wrote it.
No need for an apostrophe in Franks.
No, Frank wrote the memo. It's his memorandum.
To say Frank's memorandum.
That was probably auto-corrected, and they didn't do anything.
Well, it
Um,
just amazes me how, like,
Little
considering
things.
like this is their job to like make documents, make sure that they, I can understand like the odd little one, but like that memorandum had like so many, it was ridiculous.
it
It's
was
like
really bad. I was like, there's
it was
so
almost
many
like, let's get
typos.
this off the press. Phew,
So
there
many
you
typos.
go.
Let me see. Okay, hold on. What was the next one? I know somebody asked about another case. I'm sorry, you guys, I missed it. Shonda Vander Ark.
Oh yes, whoa, yeah, I caught that trial. And I'm amazed that they didn't actually give it a name. Like, do you know what I mean? Like I said, taking care of my or trios or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's again, there's people out there that should not be mothers. I remember she when she I love that moment when the prosecutor threw the pictures in front of her face and then she was like, you know, really? Just disgusting.
No.
Disgusting, horrible,
How did she not get a name? They didn't name it at all, did they? What did they call it?
No, they didn't. They just called it this Shanda, whatever, Van Dark or whatever what his trial. Like they didn't give it any name, and I'm amazed that they didn't do it. Like there's the boy in the box, da 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 da. But
Yeah.
anyways, yeah, and then she of course didn't show up for. Then of course she did the whole fake I'm sick shit and stuff like that and whatever. I can't. Those are the type of trials that really pissed me off as a parent, just to know what had happened to this child. It is absolutely devastating, heartbreaking. How I just can't believe that human beings have these freaking, one cell in their brain that think that they could, like, to sit there and put them in cold water, like bucket, and then the son's helping her do this, and what was that? What was that boy? That was, remember, his mom hit him for all those years, and then he comes out and they find him.
In Texas.
Yeah. Do you remember that one, Teresa?
That's just recent, right?
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about. I don't remember. I can't
remember his name.
Basically, there was I think a GoFundMe and all this stuff. She basically hit her kid, but her kid wasn't even hidden and stuff like that. And then he finally breaks free somehow and stuff like that. Anyways, those are just absurd what parents will do, and no different.
Are you talking about? Are you talking about the young kid that?
Yeah.
She slept in the same bed with him and like.
I can't think of what his name is. Rudy. Thank you, Deets. Rudy something. Yeah.
Rudy.
Yeah.
Yes. She told everybody he was dead.
Yeah.
Right. The police came to the house like several times.
Yes.
So
that one was weird. And then she reported him missing and was getting GoFundMe or whatever type of income. And he was hanging out with the neighbors in their garage or whatever. Oh, I totally remember that.
Yeah.
Okay. So digital, I think I'm confused, digital, on which documents you're talking about. So there was a
they were sealed, but then they were
So what happened was the motion to transfer was filed today. It was accompanied by an affidavit that was in support of the motion to transfer. Apparently, very shortly after it was filed, the affidavit aspect or part of the of it was redacted, or not redacted, but was sealed. Therefore, the only people that were able to get the affidavit part of the filing were those that requested it right away when the filing came out. So, if you were to have requested the document this afternoon, you would only have been sent the motion to transfer because the affidavit had already been sealed. Even though if you had requested the information, say in the first few minutes after it was filed, you would have gotten the affidavit in accompaniment with it.
Okay, so digital, does that make sense? Is there another document? Because that's two, but we still read over both of them.
Right.
So if there's something else, let me know and I can try to figure out what that is.
Yeah.
Hi, Jamie, Texas chick. Asks, thoughts on Darley?
Darley, case I don't know nothing about.
I don't know anything about that case.
Okay, so Darlie was, you probably do, maybe you just don't recognize the name. So she was sleeping downstairs with her 2 sons, and the husband was upstairs, and she said that somebody broke into her house and killed her boys, and that she chased them out through the kitchen,
Oh,
and they tried to slice her neck, and then there's the photos of her with her neck sliced. And then they said ultimately that that was all a setup and that she did it, and that she's the one who killed her boys. And she has the video where she's at the grave site doing the silly string. Do you remember who I'm talking about?
I didn't know the silly string part. I heard about the other part of it, but I don't know about the
that
case part.
just. Ugh.
I don't think Darlie did it.
Don't know the case. I'd have to like.
You'd have to look into it. So it's one of the most like the back and forth, like a Scott Peterson on like who did it, who did, did he do it, did he not do it? I don't think that Darlie did it. I don't think that Darlie cut her own neck. I think that it's an old case. Yeah. So, it's one of those where she's constantly come forward and said that she's innocent, and the husband or her husband at the time of the murder says that she did not do it, that she was innocent, and supported her. I don't think they're still married anymore, but she was like bleached blonde, but she really has dark hair. So
There's so many darn cases.
very interesting case, and it's one of those that goes back and forth. That some think that she's innocent, some think she's guilty. Just depends.
Yeah. Teresa, Carol, can you say what the survey? I think she was going back to the survey that you put up.
Yeah, let's go back to that real quick, and then we can wrap it up because I know I have a tiny human that's like wants his mom and is not in bed yet. We've been out for
how are your kids?
Hang out and chat with you guys. So let's look at the survey. Oh, okay. So, do you feel that RA's rights have been violated? 83% of the chat believes that they have been. 17% believe they have not been.
So 50-50.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 83 to 17. Total. Yeah, 50-50. There you go.
I'm just playing.
All right, we'll end that poll. All right, well, and you guys have any final thoughts? Anything else that you want to share? I'm so thankful that you guys came on. This has been so fun and just
Hey,
I love it.
Anytime you want us to come hang with you, we'll come hang with you.
So stress-free.
We're
so
easy.
nice.
Right. I was like expecting you to be like, so where did the leak come from? And I would have to be like,
Yeah.
Where did the leak come from? Who started the leak? Okay, hold on. Digital says, check Unraveling's community post. It says exhibits were sealed. Wouldn't exhibits be interviews, photos, videos, etc. that support their views?
well, there's a photo attached there's a photo included with the affidavit, which in my opinion is probably why the affidavit ended up getting sealed, is because the picture that's in the affidavit includes the personal identifying information of someone that that they haven't accused of anything nefarious of other than just having a face tattoo.
Correct.
So in my opinion, that's why the affidavit got sealed. But it does have an exhibit attached to it.
Yeah.
And that would be the pictures
That's
of
the only
the
thing I
face
can think of.
tattoo.
No, that's
and the
true.
Facebook.
On there.
So that might be it. I don't know. I have not seen or heard any other things that were added to this today for them to be sealed. So I think that everything, even though it's sealed now, is already actually posted like on Reddit, Facebook.
Right. It is.
Twitter. Yeah, I don't think there's anything that we don't have access to. I mean, ultimately, because now I think it's already out there.
A lot of people did not have access to the affidavit, but a few people were able to grab it and have it.
Loosey Goosey's always really.
And we're grateful for that.
Yeah, for getting that. Hey, just quickly, Teresa, before I know you're going to go, but what do you think about the Soto case, just quickly?
The what?
Savannah Soto and Matthew Gura.
So I was covering that. I covered it for a hot minute. I was very invested in what was happening. It was all unfolding very quickly and just kind of crazily. And then
the mom was just charged.
Yeah, mom was charged. I didn't go back and cover it. I feel.
Oh, okay.
There's like something like for me. I probably should. I need to do like an update or something. But I don't know. Like I just was so so comfortable and happy that they arrested these two. This was before the mom was arrested. I just knew that if there was a third person, which I thought there was, but then I was like, maybe I'm fucking crazy, and I just like there's some glitch in the matrix on that video. I just for me, whatever it was, I was very content on that the cops were going to handle it and that it was going to be taken care of. I also said it sucks because their lifestyle choices made them high risk. And that's really sad. But the problem I had with like people were like, why did he cover? Like, why does anybody care? Like they were 18 and 22 years old with a baby on the way. And like, I didn't sell drugs or do anything like that when I was 18 or 22, but I did some crazy ass shit. And if I wasn't able to live to look back on it, I would never have that ability. And that's kind of where I was at with it was, right. These kids are never going to be able to live with the regret or look back and go, holy shit, how did I survive? Yeah. So I know that they were into bad shit. I know that they lived a high risk lifestyle. And I know that some people are just like, you know what, it is what it is. And that's what you get for living in that lifestyle. But no, I don't know. Her mom really kind of got to me. Like I was really Savannah's mom.
Oh yeah, Savannah's
mom.
I
was just like really, I felt very bonded to her. Like I could like with her losing her son and then her losing her daughter, and just one of those. This is where you live. Sometimes this is how it goes. You can't get out of this lifestyle, and that's why there's the big, this person made it out. I don't know. I was really sad for them. I was really sad for the little family, and I know they were doing bad shit and they shouldn't have been doing it, but
a case has to resonate with you though. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like me too. Like some of the ones you're talking about, haven't heard of, but again, I look at a lot of different cases, just happens to be whichever case kind of, strikes you that you want to cover because it resonates with you in a sense. And, and that's simply the bottom line. So that one was interesting to me. That the whole towel thing, the third person, it was like,
Why did they not arrest this third person? And I thought maybe I was crazy. I was like, maybe there isn't a towel there. Maybe I'm just losing it.
No.
Yeah.
Day one, I was like, nope, there's a third person.
Right.
But,
yeah.
But then they didn't arrest anybody. And I was like, okay, that's weird.
Yeah.
Why didn't they? But I do have to say how much I loved that they the whole setup of how they do with like the arrest. Like they're like, we're going to put a perp walk out in like an hour. You're going to get to see them. It was odd. It was so cool though. I was like, this is like, talk about transparency. Yes. This is what we talk about in these cases. It's like, they're not hiding shit. They're like, this is who we're arresting. This is who we think did it. And this is what we're going to do.
Yeah. I mean,
I was like, did Texas not learn with Lee Harvey Oswald?
I don't know. I mean,
I'll sit here all night and talk to you about JFK and Lee Harvey Oswald. That's like one of the biggest conspiracy things that I ever get into is JFK.
I remember that. That family was so freaking jinx, JFK, the Kennedy family.
Yeah.
With the plane, with JFK Jr. and his wife, I can't think of her name, but and it flies upside down, or then he found it upside down.
You have JFK, you got Robert Kennedy, then you've got JFK Jr. and his wife. I mean, it's just a family. It's bad.
Yeah, just stricken with everything.
So okay, didn't it say the transaction occurred earlier and the altercation was later, like a second meetup? I'm not familiar with that.
I don't know that.
I don't know that either. But not that you're wrong.
I think that they mentioned that that they went to the house to make a transaction, and things went awry or whatever. They were planned, I guess, but
Well, they tracked her phone to that they were at that house. So something happened at the house, and then however.
I don't think there was a second.
I don't think so, but I don't know.
I don't.
So I haven't gone back to it. I tried to get back. I'm trying to get back and cover all the Delphi stuff that I had like set in my mind like these certain categories and sections for Delphi that I want to make sure I cover, and then depending on what happens with the 18th, whether we're going to be right into a trial within 70 days or whether we're going to be waiting until October or next year, I'll at least have the things that I knew in my brain I wanted to have done so I can go one direction or the other and cover other cases or cover the trial.
Right. And I think a lot of people forget with Delphi too, and I'm sure you've told your audience this, but no one should expect an immediate answer on the 18th because
it's not gonna happen.
this is going to be a written order that's given out, that's going to be handed down by the Supreme Court of Indiana. It could take weeks, or it could even take a month or two.
I don't think so.
I think that with with the urgency of the matters at hand, it should happen relatively soon. But I still think a few weeks is not an unheard of amount of time for us to have to wait for.
I agree.
For an answer. I hope it. I would love for it to be like the
I'm
next day.
kind of thinking a week.
But
you froze there.
But I wouldn't be surprised if it's a week or up to a month.
I'm thinking probably first week of February. That was my gut thinking, like, okay, first week of February. This gives them a couple weeks. They're going to have to, whatever decision they make is going to be such a procedural change or how should I say, like precedent setting for the state of Indiana, that they're going to have to make sure that it's very clearly this is it, one way or the other, no matter which way they decide.
Yeah.
It's Delphi, so we should expect it to happen on a significant anniversary or day, which means the decision will come down from the Supreme Court on February 13th, 2024.
I would not put anything past them. I mean, it's so true.
Yeah.
Or the 14th,
And whoever said that, criminality does an awesome job. We were just talking about this today, Teresa, and I want to give you this compliment. So, I have a twin sister who's the total opposite of who I am. She is more structured. She's all about frickin', files and I'm sorry, trying to think of that document stuff. What's the one, Adam, that Tom always uses? The
he uses PowerPoint.
Oh,
yeah.
You mean Tom's
Excel?
Wait,
Excel.
you mean Tom's spreadsheets?
Yeah.
I always like to say, Tom, I love your spreadsheets.
But so the one thing I want to say about Teresa is so we were talking about this today. I could give a rat's ass about being an organized person. I am so far from that. It's kind of like my twin sister. She always has to pose pictures of the kids and stuff like that. I'm just an au naturel. I just go with the flow, however it goes, YOLO, whatever stuff. And then there's those people out there that are more balanced. Now, I think that Teresa has the best of both worlds. She's fun to be around. She's got that exact spirit that I love, I'm just not, I could not sit there.
I'm going to tell you right now, I am legit the most organized person.
Organized person.
Right? I'm completely unorganized because shit is so lost.
Yeah.
That the reason I believe that I become organized is because everything is such a disaster. So for my own brain, I have to start putting things in spreadsheets and I love timelines and all of that kind of stuff because it's how my brain needs it to process.
Yeah, I get it.
So for everything, if you look at I'm telling you, if you look at my computer, if I pulled out, especially let's say 2 weeks ago or maybe 3 weeks ago with the Delphi case, there's just hundreds of pictures, screenshots, forms, files, documents.
Yeah.
No, I'm just saying they're not organized. They're just there, and so somebody's like, "I'm like, I think I have that screenshot, but I have no idea what it is."
Thousands at this point, hundreds. What are you talking about?
Oh no, some is already organized. Oh, there's thousands. There absolutely is, but they're in folders. So the Delphi folder has folders inside of it, and then there's folders inside of those folders.
Yeah.
It's bad.
No, mine.
I'm just saying, but stuff is so lost, and then it's like, okay, wait a minute.
Yeah.
So if I have I have a Brad Holder file, right? And then I have all the other people who are Brad Holder connected file. Yeah. So it's like, did I put that in the Brad Holder file or did I put that in the Brad Holder connected file? So I'm still lost even when I'm organized.
Yeah. Well, that's like I was going to say at work when I when I was a general manager and stuff like that of the hotel and organized at work. I love things to be organized. I like to get from point A to point B the fastest you can, without it being like this. Blah, blah. So at work, I was always organized. At home and on the channel and stuff like that. Honestly, that's too much. That for me is work. And the minute something feels like work is the minute I get bored fast. So me and Adam can do a live. Yeah, no problem. Just
Too
go.
much fun.
Hey, Adam, you want to talk about this case? Okay, we'll look it up. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, YOLO, and then we'll just do the live, and then let the chat talk about what they want to with the case and stuff like that. No organization whatsoever. My computer is an absolute mess. Probably have 70,000 photos of Delphi that are all over the place. Like I do have files, but I also have a lot of things.
One
that
day,
aren't
when
you
this is all done, we should just like put our Google file out as like public and just be like, this is everything we've ever had.
And,
Like see like what we all have.
fine.
Yeah, I was like, I don't think I'm gonna do that. I'm gonna put that
Yeah.
public.
But bottom line is,
Hey, I'll put it
regardless,
out now.
yeah, you kind of epitomize both though, like the can sit back and just chill with you type person, and and very organized regardless. I mean, it comes off both ways. So I feel like you got the personality of kind of
Thank
like both traits in there, whereas I'm completely just the YOLO person that does it not. And my twin sister would bore the fuck out of me personal. Oh, sorry, would bore the f out of me personally, and because I like I'm not into I'm into what you're doing here, but I'm not into just sitting there watching this monotone, type of power. I don't. Sorry, Tom. This isn't against you. I'm not talking about you here, bud, because we love you. But I'm just talking about in general that stuff.
The thing about Thomas is monotone.
Hey, yeah, but I wasn't even talking.
You think Tom is monotone?
No,
I don't.
never. Thomas will be like,
I don't think. Tom's laugh to me is like everything.
Oh, I was just gonna say that.
That gets me. Like you're immediately just like, okay, what was the chuckle for? What'd you?
yeah, there are channels. There are times that people that cover cases. I'm like, oh, let me put you on so I can
Yeah.
go to sleep. But I'm
Plunder
not
was actually one of them, and I love Plunder. But if I wanted to go to sleep fast, I just had to listen to Plunder because her voice is so monotone. But now that she actually has to show herself on camera, in a sense, because her channel actually got taken down, like meaning she she had to restart it and everything, and she just wiped clear, and now you can actually see her. But before it was just her voice only.
Yeah.
And if I wanted to go to sleep fast, I would just put on Plunder.
I'm too loud. I don't know how anybody would ever fall asleep to me. I'm loud, and then sometimes I'm like, all right, reading the document, and then I'm like, what the?
Same with
I was doing a live with Charismatically Clever and this one time, and honestly, and it was just because he was tired, but he started snoring on the live. Literally fell asleep snoring, and I actually let it stay on for a while because his snoring was so loud. Sorry, Grizz, calling out there, but you remember this. Anyway, he was freaking hacking trees down. It was so loud, but he had been up for hours, and it was really late his time. But I'm just like, did you just fall asleep?
some channel. I don't know. I can't remember the name of the channel, but some channel did the prior defense teams the memorandum for the Franks motion. So there was a channel that did a ASMR, basically go to sleep.
That's this one right there. It's Crime Curious.
Oh, is that bedtime? Thank you, bedtime.
Yeah, that's what she does. So she'll take the documents and then she reads them, and she calls them like bed crime stories. Yeah, they're amazing.
I read the memorandum a few times, but I did turn that on one night and I was like straight to sleep.
Yeah, she's got the voice that just is like cool, calm, straight. Just yeah.
Sure. I just want to be clear.
A lot of the documents.
In no way were we talking about Tom Webster. Because
I brought up Tom.
Huh?
I like Tom's laugh.
Well, that's exactly.
I fall asleep to Tom Webster all the time.
Do I watch him? Do I watch his videos? Not really, because I'm too busy usually doing my own shit. But I usually try to pop in there when he doesn't. But his laugh. I love how he laughs at his own jokes. And that video he did when it was his last day of work was funny as heck. If anyone didn't see that one with Tom, he's got
the drier sense of humor. And there's a couple people in here that will understand that because they know that their sense of humor is very dry too.
Yeah.
And so
I know
I have a fine appreciation for dry humor.
Well, once you understand that somebody's humor is dry humor, because sometimes when you're like, because that's what happened. Because like Tom made a comment like saying something like, whatever. What did he call me, Adam? Sunny
injustice
or something
cloudy.
like that. Cloudy Injustice. And so I thought he was dissing me. Because at the time there was
Sunny, Sunny thinks everyone's dissing her, so I'm like, Sunny, no, they're laughing with you, and she's like, no, they're being a jerk, and I'm like, no, they're
so I was like, not
like,
you, Tom.
they're just making fun with I'm like
But
who
anyway,
cares?
yeah, it ended up being that
And he called her Cloudy Injustice.
yeah.
Cloudy Injustice.
Yeah, so I was like, not you, Tom. Like, Tom, I watch you, dude. But anyways, then he explained it that I took it, obviously, like he was like, I was like, really, dude, you're going to call me Cloudy Injustice? You know,
It's definitely not an insult, though. It's
well, I
fun.
thought it was because I was just like, I was thinking,
Some people like a good cloudy day.
Right.
Why do you think they live in like Seattle? My friend Christine, she's like, not me. I hate laughing and joy. Yeah.
Oh, she must be Catholic.
Laughing,
She must be Catholic.
I hate laughing. Yeah, it really sucks.
Oh, that's funny. And Crime Curious is just, she's very soothing. Plunder it's probably been at least a year now where they took down her channel.
No.
So stupid. Or they demonetized her channel because her face wasn't on it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the craziest thing I've ever heard. There's tons of channels that don't have their face on them. And the content is still absolutely original, which Plunder's always was. But I don't know. It was just a fluke of the whole. She was one of the first to ever get hit with that crazy reused content bullshit.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was. Exactly. So no, she was never on screen. She was always, you would hear her voice, but she was always showing this content or whatever. And I felt so bad for her because, she's a really good creator. And I still don't feel like she's one of those channels that I feel like she should be a lot higher than she is.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree with
you.
But
great content, great work. She's like a journalist, if I recall. I've talked to her a couple
but she's also very ethical.
Very.
So that's what I think the balance that she offers that not all the channels necessarily do. Thank you, Cindy, for gifting a membership. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of an oxymoron name for Aspen. Reckon? I don't know. I don't know how that worked out, but dry humor? I don't know. All right. Well, I'm gonna let you guys go. Thank you again. I am so happy that you guys were able to come up. And we just chilled for like 3.5 hours on Friday night.
Wow.
Yeah. I'm still gonna go have something to eat now. Now I'm going like, ooh.
I'm gonna go have something to eat too.
Yeah.
Hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yeah,
for sure. Oh. And Aspen, thank you for helping wrench on my channel the other day when I had some nasty little trolls.
No problem.
Yeah.
I know.
You're welcome to keep your wrench, or if you don't want to wrench, you can just let me know, and I can
I'll keep my wrench. I mean, as long as I'm good at it. Take it away from me whenever I abuse it.
I was gonna say.
I am actually a terrible wrench, so I don't know why anybody gives me one. I'm not good. I'm not good at the whole sharing of everything and doing all the stuff that like people are supposed to do. I'm not good at any of that. But I can delete a troll really fast. I'm good at that. That's like the one thing I'm good for.
Yeah,
but if you want, I'm not good at the rest of the stuff. I try, but thank you guys very much for coming on. Absolutely, let's do it again.
Adam, maybe.
Sure.
No,
I guess I have to pay him more to come on again than I paid him this time.
Anyways, no, thank you so much. And can I
you're
just
very, very welcome.
One thing, if anyone is interested from Canada in the Canadian true crime on our channel tomorrow, we're covering the Robert Picton case, the pig farmer that murdered 26 people, but he claims 49. But anyways, that's what we're going to cover tomorrow, because every Saturday pretty much we're going to cover True Crime Canada, because obviously I am from Canada, and I feel like and Charmaine is from Canada, and I feel like we should, being Canadians, at least cover.
I definitely think there's enough crime that you could cover it.
I just never paid attention. Like, even the New Year's shit, I always watched the American countdown. I never watched any of our stuff. I find, like, for me, Canada's quite boring compared to what the US has.
I don't know. You got some good stuff going on up there. The link to It's a Crime and Shame is pinned in the chat. I've also been dropping it throughout, so make sure you guys are over there. Make sure that you're subscribed. What time are you going live tomorrow?
We're gonna go live at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is 1 p.m. my time.
1 p.m. my time.
Pacific.
All right, got you.
Anyway,
I will do a shameless plug really quickly. That
okay.
I do also have my own channel.
Yes, you do. That is in the description. I didn't put it in the comment.
And I'm like, and I'm not too far away from 4K subs. So
all right, hold on. I'm gonna grab it right now. Let me grab it.
But
when did he
listen,
ask you
I
to make a
don't
video?
I don't post a ton on it, but I do plan on
But when he does,
using my own channel a little bit more this year. So
You did a great job on Libby's birthday video.
oh, thank you. I actually just made that private and sent it to the family, just because.
Well, it was still really good. I got to see it, so
Thank you.
on there.
Okay.
But anyway,
this is Aspen's channel. Everybody, make sure you go over there.
yeah. Adam's gonna wait till he hits like 100K, and then he's going, "Oh, I think I'll make a video now." That's pretty much what's gonna happen. Because Adam, I don't even know when the last time you made a video was. Like, it has to be.
I know he did on December 27th.
Well,
Oh,
no,
right.
I did make a tribute video for Libby's birthday, but before, once some of the
right.
I posted a video back in September when I first started hearing about some of the leak stuff before any of the pictures came out, where I said I thought that that the defense team probably was going to get removed from the case.
Yeah.
So you knew all along.
Yes, he did. Yes.
And and a lot of people were just like, "Oh, you're going to eat your words. You're going to eat your words." And that wasn't my goal, but
he didn't eat his words.
It's been so toxic for the last several months. I have I've not wanted to make a video, so but I've committed to like,
and I think that you should.
I've committed to like doing a little bit more on my channel this year, but or doing more on my channel this year, but I just not wanted to really be a part. I mean, I'm on It's Crime and Shame 3 times a week, so I didn't feel like I needed any other voice in the avenue for the last couple months.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
And congratulations. I mean, I know your channel's gonna rock it. So when you're hit 100 million subscribers and whatever 100 million, whatever billion, don't forget the small people down here, Teresa.
Yeah, don't forget us little folk.
So, because you're basically exactly, if not, I mean, you're gonna I think you were at 10,200 now. I was.
Oh, you're talking to me? I thought we were talking about Aspen.
Yeah,
No.
Teresa's gonna blow up
Talking about your
quicker
channel
every
now.
month. It's just gonna be bigger and bigger.
Oh, thank you.
So what is your
I thought we were talking about Aspen's channel. I was like, yeah, don't forget us little folk.
Yeah.
No,
No, I'm
Teresa.
talking about you because I know because you have that quality about you. Whereas I don't. I will block people left, right, and center. I will. I have 1,000 people blocked. I'm pretty sure if I unblocked, it would be a different story, but I'm not going to. It's my way of doing my thing because I just can't do people just saying whatever they want to and think it's okay. It has to be respectful. You can have your whatever opinion you want, but in our chat, so I
Sometimes
know
the chat over here can get a little wild and out. They really do. I'm like, all right, hold on a second. Everybody calm down. Like reset.
However people do the channels doesn't matter. Like I said, I know that maybe I'm going the longer route doing it, but it's just I have to stick with what I feel is right.
I love your channel.
Well, thank you. Because like I said, I expect respect from people when they're talking to other
I don't.
people.
I'm just like, fuck it, whatever.
Yeah. And and JLR has that same mentality too. Like, I don't care if there's a troll in here smack talking me, whatever.
I do care about like when they come in and they're just completely disgusting. I don't like that. And I don't really know why people want to fight with each other. And I hope that one thing that happens with any coverage that I put out there is that people learn that they don't have to fight over a case. You can not like people all you want to, but you don't have to fight over your opinions of a case.
You do a really good job of pointing that out in your channel, Teresa. Even if you don't block someone or whatever, you do a really good job of maintaining that voice of respect. And I that's one of the first things I appreciated about your channel was that you were able to hold differing views within your community, and
it doesn't always work.
Become personal or vile, and that was one of the first things I actually really really liked about you, is that you were able to kind of navigate that.
The one
really
thing,
well.
the one thing that I'm just gonna say, the one thing that I do remember when I was watching one of your lives, and someone was saying, "Why are you talking to this person? Why are you talking to that person? Why are you talking to this person?" And you said something like, "Well, because you might know about all these people, but I don't," like type of thing. Like
Oh.
like that's their own thing. This is my own thing in a sense. So it's one of those things is that you're not afraid to speak your mind, in the chat about it, and just I don't know. I just love your truthfulness. I like the way that you have this nice balance of, like I said, dealing with things. I don't have that patience myself anymore. I just don't. So like I said, I'm not. Someone said, "Are you going to unblock all those 1,000 people you have?" No, not.
I think I probably have either maybe 10 to 12 people
Right.
blocked.
We were joking about that.
And they're like the fake
Like,
accounts. Like I think I have like
I don't block.
one of them is like Bogart, and there's like 10 of them or whatever, and it's like I
Yeah.
block like as I keep creating an account and coming back in. But I appreciate that. Thank you guys. That's very very good. You're making
no, anyways, we love you.
Can I ask one more?
No.
Can I ask one more? How are your boys
Absolutely.
doing? Are they feeling better?
the kids.
Yeah.
My little one is seeming to feel much better. My daughter she's a disaster. So she didn't go to school, and I don't know. I don't really know what it is because it seems to really last a long time, and there's not medicine that's like really helping. I don't know what's going on. I don't know what is wrong. So it's just like a major congestion, exhausted, cough, and like my little one, he had the cough for like ever, and it would go away and then come back. And then go away and then come back.
Taken the tests.
Yeah, there's nothing, no positives on any of that.
Good.
So I don't, but the cough just lasted forever, and now my daughter's got it, and that's what I was telling them at the beginning of this is, or even my live earlier, is like they get much more cuddly when they don't feel good, but then they're like their coughs and their germs are like on me, and I'm like, I can feel the beginning of like congestion and sore throat and stuff, and I'm like, ugh. So
yeah, it makes.
So I don't have any of the good medicine like the Canadians have.
Yeah, right. The Benelin all-in-one. Right. The thing is it sucks when you have multiple kids like that because they go to school, someone has a flu, and meaning I'm sure it circles a lot within the kids, within the family. Like Alexa's twins, and Alexa and her husband seem to always be sick. It seems like somebody's catching something. So I can imagine, like said, I only had the one child. You got like three, four?
Three. Yeah, 15, 13, and 7.
Yeah. So it's just a nasty cycle, but yeah. Anyways.
Well, the 15-year-old like locks himself in his room essentially, so which is probably good for him. It's like quarantine, except for if he is sick, then it's just like germs, like just around.
He just probably plays on the computer. I'm sure.
I just alternate my mentality between those exact 3 ages.
Yeah. Anyways,
at any given day, I'm
You're like, what do I do today?
Well, love you very much.
Thank you guys.
Your kids. Yeah, thanks for having us on.
Absolutely. Mine had a cough for a long time a few years ago, and the doctor prescribed something they called pearls, cleared up the cough in a few days. That's interesting. Yeah, if it doesn't go away, I'm not going to have much of a choice but to take her, but we'll see. But thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for hanging out. I mean, shoot.
Yeah.
It was a badass Friday night. So
thanks to your chat as well.
I'll see you guys. I'll see you guys tomorrow over on your stream, and then sometime this weekend I'm going to try to do a live on Jennifer Dulos, which is the Michelle Troconis case. So I'll see you guys soon. And then everybody in chat, thank you guys. You are appreciated, and I can't believe you guys hung out here this whole time. So many of them were like here at the beginning, and they're still here. I must really like you guys. Probably Aspen. They're like, look at his hair; it's so pretty.
Me and Adam did 13 hours one time.
All right, I'll see you guys later.
Take care, guys.
Bye.
Have a good one. Take care. Bye.
Bye.